Space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before.
Hey, welcome back to Mike Seibert Radio. I am your host, and we're continuing our conversation about Season 2 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. My guest is the one and only Greig Tansley, host of Unfunny Nerd Tangent and co-writer, co-creator of the terrific fan project Transformers Reanimated. Now, if you want to check out the first part of our discussion about the first 2 episodes of the new season, go back and check out the previous episode. But for now, let's just jump right back in as we discuss the remaining episodes 3 through 10 of Season 2 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So we move on to episode 3, and I feel like throughout this season of Strange New Worlds, it feels like, especially now that the season is over and you can kind of look back over your shoulder, it feels like it's ticking boxes. Like, here's our courtroom episode, and you've got some wacky episodes coming up, but here's your time travel episode. Here's an opportunity to do City on the Edge of Forever from a different point of view, which I'm a sucker for a time travel episode. It's one of my favorite tropes, and I like this episode quite a lot.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I couldn't remember if this was the 3rd episode or it was the one where they went back to the planet we left our technology behind and the mind altering planet, because I wasn't a big fan of that episode, but I like this one. Like I said, this episode turned me around on New Kirk.
Oh yeah.
Because when he was in the tail end of, that's one that I haven't checked. I have to check Sam. I have to check Sam's uniform, see if he's wearing the right stripes.
I bet he isn't.
But I like that they've given him the mustache. That's pretty cool.
It's so good.
When you see him in TOS, it's just Shatner with a mustache.
Yeah.
So it would have been funny if they'd had them both play.
Just get the same actor, yeah.
Yeah. Which I like the little, like, bait and switch has such a awful connotation to it nowadays, but it is a bait and switch, because last season it was like, oh yeah, Lieutenant Kirk is waiting
Lieutenant
for you.
Kirk.
Lieutenant Kirk, and then it's Sam or George. Yep. Same thing. And he's got the mustache. It's a different Kirk. Yeah. It's not Jim. But I wasn't, when we saw Kirk in season 1, I was like, oh man, this is not good at all. Like, I was just like, he's not Kirk at all. Like, you don't have to, like, Chris Pine showed us that you don't have to be Shatner.
Correct.
To be Kirk, because Chris Pine is very much Kirk. And then little Shatnerisms thrown in there, here and there, but it's not a straight up impression of Shatner, which is where it's compared to like Carl Urban as Bones is pretty much a straight up impression of DeForest Kelley. Mostly.
Yeah, it's practically a Saturday Night Live skit. I mean, I love it. I love that performance, same. but
it's
knowing
very
what
much
it is.
like, I'm doing him. Like, you know what I mean? Whereas Pine is not copying shit. He's doing the essence of the character without having to do all he's not doing the Shatner speeches and the big mannerisms.
Correct.
Every now and then one slips in.
Yeah, tosses a couple things in there. And I think the difference also for me personally, I think part of the difference is that DeForest Kelley isn't with us anymore. So whereas Mr. Shatner still is, that
That's
kind of
right.
thing.
Yeah.
It's a weird way of looking at it, but still.
But yeah, I was just like, I don't know. Like, I don't need him to be Shatner, but he needs to be Kirk. And I'm watching, I'm just like, he's not Kirk. Like, It's just, don't know. Anyway, then this one, okay, here we go. And they did the, what is it? Tomorrow is tomorrow is tomorrow.
Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, yeah.
Oh, tomorrow and tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's right, because it was yesterday.
Tomorrow is yesterday.
Yeah, fuck, whatever it is. I like the little nod back to the old titles though as well, because there was Spock a muck.
Yeah,
last season, which rhymes for you guys, doesn't rhyme for me. But anyway, Spock a muck.
I'm sorry, that just makes me laugh. It's so funny.
But yeah, and this episode though, it turned me around. I'm all right with him as Kirk now. He's not perfect, but I mean,
right?
Okay. Like I said, if they were like, "This is Kirk doing a new show," like I said, they pick up my idea for Legacy, whatever. And, this is new Kirk. I'm like, all right, that's fine. The only thing is, he's a little old.
Yes,
because I checked the dates as well. I checked to see what year it's set in and all this kind of stuff. As far as canon, goes, if I'm going to be super nitpicky, which it doesn't really bother me. It doesn't bother me as much as Scotty does.
Okay.
But we'll get to that. He is a little bit old because I think the guy's like 40 or 41.
Sure.
Who's playing Kirk. And in this, like, Kirk canonically, whatever the word is.
Yeah.
In universe, Kirk is 25.
Oh, okay.
So even like Lan, and there's like got years on him. You know what I mean? Like, because what's she, 30, 31, 32?
Something like that, yeah.
I think the actress is nearly 40, but no actress.
But playing young, yeah.
That's right. No actress on TV is really playing, like as old they all play younger.
Sure.
Generally, So, but I mean, that doesn't matter. Like, if she's meant to be 35 and he's 25, but story-wise, it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But it actually helps the fact when she meets real Kirk and she's awkward around him. That's
yeah.
If you think he's meant to be 25 and she's mid-30s, it almost kind of like there's nothing wrong with it. It's not in a weird vibe, but just the fact that like she's sort of almost lusting after this guy who's 10 years younger than she is.
Yeah.
What's wrong with me? I'm smarter than this, It sort of adds to it a little bit. It's like, yeah, but it's Kirk. He's got that magnet.
Yep. In his pants.
He hasn't even worn the green shirt yet. She'll be
exactly.
They'll be slipping and sliding through the Jeffrey tubes before you know it. If you chuck
there
the green shirt on. But okay. He's meant to be 25. He's clearly not 25. All right, let's say he's 30. Whatever. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like it's not a deal breaker for me. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, it is a bit weird if you think about it, but as far as the story and all that goes, yeah, he really turned me around in this episode. Whether it was because it was a more like quote unquote, like it's sort of like it is and it isn't, but it's like a funny episode of Star Trek. But then it also then very much isn't as well by the time the end of it, and not just because he dies.
Right.
Because it doesn't count. He's not really dead. It's a time duplicate, whatever.
Correct.
But it counts. It counts for her though.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because she still lived that experience and she knew him and stuff. So,
right.
But yeah, the only other issue I had with the episode was the whole Khan thing.
Yeah, let's litigate
seem
some
to
of that.
They don't seem to know what's going on with that as far as like, because it was always Khan rose to power and had his reign of terror and blah 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 in the 90s.
Correct.
And then they stopped him and they shut him down. And then the only way they could protect the world from Khan ever coming back was they shot him off into space in the Botany Bay.
Right.
And then he was floating around in space forever until Kirk and the Enterprise run into him in the original series. Now we're in 2023 or 20, whatever year they went back to. I thought it was
something like that. Yeah.
I thought it was 2022 or something like that, or 2021. It was within a couple of years of real life, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And Khan is like a kid. So I was like, okay. They do sort of make slight allusions to it because the girl that turns out to be the Romulan spy, which I thought was cool. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, very, very cool.
She even says like, yeah, something like it's not an exact science, or like, yeah, the data's not as accurate as you think it is. Like, I've been waiting 20 years for this.
Right.
Which means somebody said, let's send her back in time to the 90s. And she got there and it's like, I got to wait 20 years for this kid to be born.
Exactly.
So it's the information that they have is not correct. Well, so that's okay. I don't mind that if that's sort of their, retconny way of,
Well, and there's also a line of dialogue in there about the timeline trying to fix itself. Because, something we talked extensively about in our Picard episode is like I had gotten confused about the timeline, about like the Khan people and the eugenics wars and when World War III is. I've since gone back and done some homework and gotten myself kind of what I discovered. What really threw me off is in the first episode of Strange New Worlds, where Pike kind of commingles everything and says that January 6th caused everything. January 6th caused the eugenics wars and the Civil War and World War III. And I think in revisiting that take, I think that's just Pike being provocative, trying to scare these people. So it's like I think some folks, myself included, I think took that too literally, where like all of these episodes are all these events are all commingled, whereas in fact, like the Khan people, were defeated and sent off into exile, and then World War III happens later.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
It's kind of like you could sort of like casually link. You could say, well, World War. Like if you were saying like, oh yeah, war is bad, blah 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 or something. You'd be like, well, it was World War II and World War One, and that led to World War II, and then we had the Korean War, and then Vietnam, and then the Cold War and all that. Like none of them were really connected to each other directly, but one sort of caused the other. Like obviously after World War One, Germany was kind of like, oh fuck, shit's not so good here, and Hitler's like, yeah, I know why. Follow me, and all right, oh fuck, okay, and then what I mean. So there's sort of cause and effect kind of thing, sort of. But it wasn't like World War II wasn't the sequel to World War One. Like this time we'll get them. There's a different,
despite the name.
like different Germans. Like it's different. So that kind of thing. So like that's how I took it as Pike just sort of being like, oh yeah, all these things happened. Like not. They were all, like you said, this led to this directly. It's just like, general, general mayhem and lawlessness and whatever else. But I mean, it doesn't matter. Again, I wasn't sitting there being like, oh, fuck this show, or anything like that. Because at least they were like, well, I've been waiting 20 years for this kind of thing. So, okay. So it's all right. You just watch Space Seed again, and when Spock goes blah 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 blah, oh, this happened in the 90s, you'd be like, Spock's reading the wrong data. Yeah, he's reading that's old encyclopedias. He needs the update.
Yeah, exactly. He's got and also keep in mind, I forget where all this has been referred to, but it's been stated that World War III was fairly catastrophic. and that, you know, a fair amount of information was lost.
Yeah.
So yeah, all
sort
of this
kicks
kind
off a little mini Dark Ages kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Kind of. Yeah.
The thing that this is a little cheeky. I saw this in a blog somewhere, but like the thing that I appreciated about this particular episode is that basically this episode is the entire second season of Picard just condensed down into one episode. You know, it's basically the same broad strokes. You know, there's a parallel reality where Earth is isolated and polluted. It's a dystopia, and they try to find the divergent points with no evidence and just kind of get stuck for 30 years. There's a car chase. There's a run-in with the police. A long-lived woman who happens to live nearby.
Yeah.
and of course the bad guy tragically kills a person the main character cares for a lot. So I found that was kind of funny because I
hadn't thought of that, but yeah, I hadn't put it together like that before, but no, it's right. I had figured that like they're trying to do Guinan with Pelia.
Yeah.
but I mean, yeah.
And no,
you're right.
I do like the payoff with Lon earlier in the episode where it's like all of these like, you know, stolen artifacts that apparently she's just bringing onto the ship, Pelia, I mean. It's all property of the archaeology department. And turns out that's the name of her junk shop. And I just like these little bits of like predestination. Again, I love time travel stories to where, you know,
that's a fairly common thing though, where it's like, oh no, I've gone back in time. Who do I know? Yeah. I mean, that's the first thing Marty McFly does is look up Doc Brown.
Yeah.
You know, there's the newspaper, there's the page out of the phone book, and he's like, oh great, you're alive. You know, and goes to find him, and it's like, yeah, because who else are you going to talk to? So,
exactly.
I don't mind that. It's like, well, yeah, it is a little bit like, oh, she just happened to be on Earth at the same time, but then that's it. But it sticks. That is consistent with Star Trek though, because that's what happened.
Absolutely.
In the episode with Mark Twain, and they find Data's head in the thing, and it's like, oh yeah, I went back in time to Mark Twain times, and blah blah blah, and Guinan just happened to be there. Like, you know, the only thing with that is then that sets up that the whole Guinan Picard relationship is a predestination thing, that she that's the first time that she met Picard and then knows, okay, I'm going to meet this guy again in like 200 years and I'm going to have to pretend for a while that I don't know him, and then one day he's going to go, hey, I remember, I found out, and she's like, oh good, now we can talk about shit.
It's like, thank goodness the charade was exhausting. But I like it though, where it's like, hey man, you got a knack for this, would you ever consider engineering?
Yeah.
I like that. No, I think that puts a really neat button on there.
The fact that Lon and Kirk hook up as well, I find interesting. Like, he's got a real thing for these augments. They're either like, he's either going to bang
wants to fuck him or kill him.
That's right. Yeah, it's like one or the other.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, something about you cons.
That's right. That would have been funny.
What's that?
Did they have sex? I can't remember.
They
hooked up. Well, but did they fuck?
I don't. Oh no! No, I don't think they did.
No, I couldn't remember.
He specifically sleeps on the couch, and like she goes out.
That's right.
Looking for a fuck, and then decides not to.
Yeah. No, that's
sweet baby boy.
I'm just thinking if they had the sex scene, that you know what he'd be screaming.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. That is so good.
Like, oh, I'm nearly there, and then yeah. But it's Lan instead of Khan.
Oh, there you go. I saw a meme going around where it's it's Wrath of Khan, and it's them going back and forth about on the screen, and it's like, oh, and Khan, I'm sorry for what I did to your great granddaughter, and Khan's like, what? And Kirk is like, what?
Yeah. You'll appreciate this. I made a Wrath of Khan reference the other night.
Oh, good.
Before my gig, because as you can see, I'm wearing my glasses. The listeners can't see, but you can see them. Yeah. And I only need them for the computer, and then if I want to read stuff, walking around, I'm good. You know? Yep. So I'm forever doing that.
Yep.
And so we're at the venue. And was setting up, blah, blah, blah. Someone said something about the thing, and I got my phone out. And I was like, oh, hang on, I'll have a look. So I've got my glasses out, and I've just put them on like this. And I was looking at the thing, and I tipped them down, and I went, it's coming through now, Khan. And kept going, and just nothing. I was just like, fuck you guys.
Oh, that's a bummer. See, I was
Mike
thinking...
got it.
Yes, I'd have been right there for you, buddy. See, I was looking at it from a different perspective, maybe your bandmates or other folks don't see you with the glasses, so it's like you put out your phone, you can't quite read it, so then you go for your glasses, and you're like, damn. Put on the glasses to read the thing. Oh my gosh. But I mean, solid episode, all the way around. I don't know. I like the button that it's a big character episode for Lan. She gets, she gets a lot of character development, and we see that pay off later during the crossover episode. When she's talking to Boimler about the rules of time travel, some of which he knows, but then she's like, no attachments, and he's like, wait, what are you talking about? Yeah. I'm not familiar with that one.
And see, that's where we're talking about the episodic setup, or the episodic nature of shows compared to serialization.
Sure.
And I prefer the serial type things, but
that's fair.
I do also like one and dones.
Mm-hmm.
But I like one and dones where there might be 10 minutes in that episode where you just need to remember this, because this 10 minutes doesn't mean shit for this episode, but it's going to mean a whole lot in 2 or 3 episodes down the track. So this episode's like a one and done. Oh, it's a time travel thing. And like you said, it's kind of City on the Edge of Forever, but reversed, because Kirk's the one that dies now, and sort of, and she's but the original episode, it has that big, the big ending with Kirk, he had to let her die, and
mm-hmm. Edith Keeler must die.
Yeah. And then the next episode, it's Kirk again.
Yep.
You wouldn't even know it. So that's the problem with episodic, is just everything's reset and then back to the start, and there's no real stakes, and the characters don't get a chance to grow or change. Whereas now, the Lan character is now reaping the benefits of that episode in, like you said, the Lower Decks crossover episode, and the musical one.
Yeah.
Because she sings a song about everyone thinks I'm a real hard ass, which I am, but I'm also sensitive and delicate and sad. And Kirk, she, and then I think, I can't remember if it's that same episode, the singing one, where she sort of starts to hit on Kirk a bit again, and he's just like, I'm kind of with this other chick that I knocked up.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm with somebody. Oh, really? Her name is Carol. Hey, guys, Carol, anybody? It's like,
I should probably be there for my son, but only for a little while. He's not going to be around for long.
Yeah, it's going to be okay.
He's got this thing about trying to save Vulcans. Fucking stupid.
It's not going to go. He's kind of a dum-dum.
Yeah. Yeah. Using proto matter fucking shortcuts.
I stumble on the chair. I'm a real klutz.
But so like now we have, because we already had, and last season it was kind of like we get like public. That's why I like. She might be my favorite character in the show.
Yeah,
actually, because you get public. She's a little bit like Spock, because you get public. You get public LAN, which is when she's on the bridge and when she's there, and then you get private LAN. And she's awesome. The only time she's both is when she's with number one. Right. And she talks to number one about shit that she doesn't talk with anyone else. And like number one picks up on the whole Kirk thing.
You have a glow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And last season it was like all the Gorn stuff. Where she's got PTSD because when she was a kid or whatever, they got attacked by the Gorn, and she's the one that knows all about them. And she's got the whole Khan augment thing. Like that's going to have to come out at some point. There's going to be something where it's like, how come she survived being shot 85 times? Or how did she save so-and-so by lifting the thing? Well, because she's an augment. Sort of.
Oh, you think she's got some augment juice?
Yeah, also? That's what she's don't tell anybody. She's afraid of it. She's like some latent, like, strength mutant or whatever, whatever you want to call it.
See, and that's interesting because I have a opposite take on it.
Security.
Oh, and yeah. See that now. That talk about open.
Whoop ass because. You know,
and
well, it makes more sense to me than like, why would you have this tiny little girl as the head of your security?
Sure,
not just because girls get it done. Like, she still has to beat, but she still has to beat the fuck out of people at some point if she's head of security. Or how did she rise through the ranks to be head of security on the Enterprise?
Yeah, and that all checks out.
Something as well.
Yeah, that's fair. And talk about opening a jar of pickles, not to cross over franchises or whatever. Man, so I mean, think about this. Like it wasn't that long ago where like the best Star Trek we had wasn't even a Star Trek show. Watching goddamn Orville saying like that's damn good Trek. I mean, I remember I was saying that at the time and whatever. But so I totally get where you're coming from. It's very logical and it all checks out. I have a divergent take just based on one thing: how indignant Lon is when Una's secret comes out. And it turns out it's like she's very surly and hurt by like, wait, you're a fucking X-Men? God damn it.
But that could be because like you could have told me because I would have listened to you because I'm a fucking weirdo too. Like we could have been talking about it. We could have been talking to each other about this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We could be teenage mutants together.
Silence. Yeah. Yeah, but it's like I've had this stuff. It's almost like, well, you're gay as well. I'm gay too. Like we could have both been talking about being gay, or we're both like, whatever. Like that. I think that's what I took from it is she got shitty at Una because it was like, well, fuck, bitch. We could have both been talking about. Like I've struggled with that shit too, and have no one to fucking talk about it with. And now you're telling me I could have been talking to you about it the whole time. And felt better about it, and you know what I mean. And that's what she's like. Well, fuck you then. Like I'm not even going to tell you that I'm fucking Khan girl.
Right.
Like I don't think she's hiding powers. I think that she's just like something's going to come out, or she's going to get bit by a Gorn or something, and she's going to survive it. And they're going to go, how the fuck did you survive? Because we've seen that seed planted as well. Yeah. In Pike's Captain Girl.
Yeah.
She got bit by the bloody Gorn, who are apparently now like zombies, sort of.
Yeah, that whole episode. Yeah.
Like I'll skip ahead, but like, so there's that. So we have to show you an example of the horrible thing so that when it happens to someone else, you think, oh no, horrible thing is going to happen again. And then it doesn't. Right. And you go, what the fuck? Like, why is she not, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
How come Peter Quill can hold the fucking Power Stone? What the fuck? Oh, it turns out he's not just a human being. He's part something else. Well, what is he? Oh, you have to watch the next movie.
Watch the next movie. Exactly.
Oh, all right then. Like, what the fuck? I can't remember what it was now. There was something. It was a movie or a show. I can't remember what it is. And it feels like it was ages ago. And I can't remember what it was, but it's like a fight scene or something. And like the guy gets stabbed or shot or something and it doesn't affect him. And the other guy sort of looks at, I can't fucking think what it is now. And the other guy sort of looks at him like, what the fuck? And he just sort of goes, yeah. Like the guy that's healing, or it's not Wolverine, but it's something like that. Like he gets stabbed or shot or something, and he just sort of shrugs it off. And the other guy who he's fighting is just like looks at him like, "Is that really happening?" Then the main guy is just sort of like, "Yeah, like yeah, you're seeing it." And then
you see it, yeah.
Fighting, and you're just like, "What the fuck is that about?" I can't remember what it is now. Fuck. Anyway. I could see something like that happening with Lan, where it's just like, oh, there it is. Like,
it's the secret diary of Desmond Pfeiffer. That's what it was. Pfeiffer.
Plus, she could also be thinking, like, if I end up inheriting these kind of traits or this augmentation or whatever, not only is she then like in trouble potentially with the Federation, and which they've been consistent with as well, because there was a whole thing about Bashir. In Deep Space Nine as well. They go after Bashir as well because he's augmented.
Yep.
I take that as well as she's not so much concerned about that. It's more of like, what could I become? Am I the next Khan kind of thing? You know what I mean?
Right.
Which like we know she isn't, but then
you never know.
Maybe she is, and that's why she's not around.
Oh no! Gotta send her off to euthanasia.
That's why Kirk had no time for fucking Khan and Space Seed. He's just like, fucking dealt with this one before. He's like, just drop him on a planet. I'm not even going to check up on him.
Yeah. It's like, hey, Captain, should we? You know what? Fuck that guy. Fuck him right in his ear. It's like, whoa, Captain, you seem disproportionately upset. But then good old Chekhov there spins he's tried to steal his sheep and murder him.
That's right.
He's like, yeah, what Chekhov said. That's that thing, not the other thing. We don't talk about the other thing.
Right.
You keep telling him that, steal his sheep and murder him.
But I hope that they sort of do more of that stuff with Lan, because I thought it was I think when I came around on their character last season was when the episode where they all thought they were like fairy tale characters. They all thought they were knights and princesses and all that, and she was like the stuck up, like the Vesper from Spaceballs princess.
Oh sure, yes.
She was sort of like that, and I was like, oh okay, so she is an actress. She's she's not one of the, because sometimes I see characters and I don't know if they're good actors or not until I see them do something else. They're way different than what they're like, and then that's what I thought, like, oh no, because she's completely different in that. And then it was like, all right, this character's pretty cool. So I think they'd be. It seems like she's worried about it a lot for it not to become something.
Yeah, and you don't create a character with this kind of legacy unless you're going to do something with it. Because why else would you? It's like, it just seems like it would be a waste of time to not do something with that material at some point. So
the other thing as well, we're talking about, there's nothing to say that, like how we said before, there's nothing to say that Sulu's not already on the ship. Right? There's nothing to say that Lan's not on the Enterprise in TOS either.
Yeah, that's fair. I
don't think we ever see as head of security on TOS. We see like security officers because they're all the red shirts, but I don't know if we ever see a head of security. So maybe she's on the ship and Kirk just avoids her.
Oh, that would be funny.
You're banned from the bridge.
Yeah. It's like, you stay out of my sight.
I know it's because the character didn't exist yet, but even in story line wise, it would have come up with Khan. So,
yeah, that would be the linchpin.
He's the first person he would have called to the ready room in Space Seed.
It'd be like, hey, we found something. Yeah.
Does the words Botany Bay mean anything to you?
Botany Bay? Oh no.
She's like, isn't that down in Sydney?
Yeah, right. Exactly. One last button I want to put on this episode, and so you've said, Greg, before that, like, the folks who make the show probably don't watch a lot of Star Trek, but I know who does. The people who cut the damn trailers. I don't know if you saw this or not, but like one of the trailers shows like it's just the single scene of Kirk trying to navigate through the revolving door.
I'm from space.
Exactly. And
went, no, he isn't. He's from Iowa.
Yeah. And it's like, and I think they put that in that trailer specifically to piss off people like me, because I'm like, no. And but they even reconcile that within the episode, because he ends up being born on like the USS Iowa or some such like that in space.
Something like that, yeah.
So
but that was in the alternate timeline. Yeah. So regular Kirk, real Kirk, is still born in Iowa. It was just in the timeline that Lan went to. Correct. That Kirk was born in space.
Right, but I'm just saying in that trailer, we didn't know that.
No, that's right, yeah.
We just thought it was like, hey, man, I'm sure it's an easy joke. Dude doesn't know. It's like, no, he only works in space. He's from Iowa.
Yeah.
So,
I was glad they did that. I was like, oh, good. Because I remember seeing the trailer, and it was just like, okay. But that was it. Then I was like, whatever.
I was so mad. I was almost like Greg mad about it, because I'm just like, you were doing so well.
Yeah. How many stripes does he have on his shirt?
Oh man! Now I have to
check what he's captained in the alternate timeline. Does he have 3 stripes on his?
Well, and I want to go back to that episode too, because obviously, like the symbol is different. It's not the delta. So, but I didn't even look at the sleeves, so I don't even know. That's right,
because in the original series, only that's the Enterprise delta. That hasn't become the Starfleet delta yet.
I was wondering,
has a different thing.
I was wondering if that was going to come up, because it's just like that. That almost kind of doesn't make sense that Captain Battelle and the crew of the Cayuga, they all have the same delta, and it's like, that doesn't quite work. But again, to your fan theory earlier, maybe they're still in the figuring it out phase, and maybe it's like, well, hey man, we've done this color legislation. It would be really cool if what if, actually, ironically enough, what if it only happens during like the 3 years that we see on TV for TOS, and they say, what if each starship had its own badge? That's a great idea. And then somewhere along the way, that's a stupid idea. Let's not do that ever again. I like that we've seeded like 4 different like fan fiction projects here. This is good stuff. But what isn't fan fiction, and it's kind of interesting. Again, we talk about like tones kind of oscillating. We get a legit sequel to The Cage here in the next episode, Among the Lotus Eaters, and this I don't know. I mean,
because Discovery kind of did a Cage sequel as well.
That is true, because you see, and like
they showed the old footage as well. Yeah, they showed the old.
That's right. I forgot about that.
There's that one, and they show the old footage from The Cage, and it's just meant to be like, that's Pike, and then you see new Pike, and it's like, just roll with it. It wasn't like they just went, that's Pike, and this is Pike. They weren't trying to be like, oh, hey, you look different. It's like, no, samesies. It's all good.
Yeah.
Because that was where, I forget her name, but the girl from the cage that's with Pike, Vina, and then she ends up with Pike after, what's her name? Menagerie. She was in Discovery, and Pike, she like betrays Pike because she's really with the aliens or whatever, and then the whole thing, you know.
Right.
But yeah, because they sort of did that. But yeah, then this is more of a direct. That was like, remember the cage? We're going to sort of make reference to it and sort of use characters from it and stuff. But this one is definitely like, and then what happened? Oh, nothing. We just went home. Yeah, but you left all your shit there. Right. And apparently half the crew.
Exactly.
He's Khan before Khan. He's
there it is.
Left me here and didn't check on me. Fuck you, dude. Like,
well, and it ties in directly to that dialogue scene that Pike has with the doctor character in the cage. Because like the cage happens like, you know, or the events of the cage happen like almost like immediately after this failed mission to Rigel 7, where, you know, Pike is being like, you know, super earnest. He's like, you know, all these people are fucking dead, including my own yeoman. And I do like how they kind of flip that expectation a little bit, because like during TOS, you know, you've got Yeoman Rand. So it's kind of implied that would be more of a female secretary type of role. I like that they flipped it, and it's a young dude.
Yeah. Because I think the cage is meant to be about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I think, give or take. So like now that's why Pike's like 50 or whatever he is, you know. Because I think, because the cage, because originally I was like, when Pike turned up on Discovery, that's what I was like. I had to look it up. I'm like, so when's the cage?
Yeah.
Happen? And then it was like, oh no, the cage has already happened. So the cage is the first, although Enterprise would be, wouldn't it? So it's Enterprise and then the cage.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first 2 seasons of Discovery, like in a chronological time period, because obviously they then go to the future. So if you lived through the time, like if you were Pelia,
right? Yeah, exactly.
You could have observed everything happening in real time. Enterprise, the cage, seasons 1 and 2 of Discovery, and then Strange New Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Discovery, then they skip over all the rest of Trek to get to the end. So that guy's been there for a while.
yeah, long enough. And it's shown that, you know, it's been there long enough to, you know, basically build up this civilization. This is kind of needling my buddy Greg a little bit here. So, you know, we did a whole segment on uniform legislation.
How many stripes did he have on his sleeve?
Not even stripes. Both in during the briefing where they show like the folks that got killed, as well as like when we see Zach in person, they're all just wearing Strange New Worlds outfits. So they're not wearing the uniforms from the cage. They're not wearing the uniforms from Discovery. They're wearing Strange New Worlds outfits.
Yeah, that's a problem. I don't mind that too much, because I was going to say, I'm sure someone would point out to me the fact that like in the first couple of episodes of TOS, they're not wearing gold, and there's no red. There's sort of,
it's all gold and blue.
It's sort of gold and blue, and even the gold is kind of a different.
It's more like a almost mustard. Like these velour sweaters. Those sweaters look very warm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not wearing this all day.
Look really itchy.
Yeah, but that to me, that's the same. That's where you either got to skip over it altogether or not. Yeah. But if you're wearing the proper things and you're making a point of having all the dressings and get it right, that's my thing. Like, so I just look at that and go, they hadn't decided what the uniforms were going to be yet. it's the same thing with the Klingons. You didn't have to explain the Klingons and the forehead ridges and the no forehead ridges. Like, so why then TOS? Why they just look like human beings,
right?
With like beards and stuff. Like, oh, that's because that's what they looked like when we made the show. Then someone in the movies was like, let's make them look fucking like turtle heads.
Yeah.
All right. Like that's the people where they should have gone, hang on. But no. Have you seen the Klingons? Like, because you would think if I was like, I don't know, your producer or your whatever on the movies and they went, hey, here's the new Klingon design. You'd be like, what the hell is that? That's not a Klingon. Like, the Klingons look like this guy, like, you know, Kang and Kodos and all that from bloody TOS. You'd be like, that's not a Klingon, that's something else. Oh, no, it would be the Klingons from now. So, but that's just one of those things. But I did like, and even I was quite happy, like, Enterprise went into the whole thing of, like, why? So there is an actual story reason. It's like a genetic virus and all this kind of stuff. Right. And trying to have like more human looking Klingons for infiltration and all this kind of thing, which, okay, that's fine. That's cool. Seems like a lot of work when you have in that, the DS9 crossover with TOS, what is it? It's, not the Trouble with Tribbles. That's the episode.
Trials and Tribulations.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because they come in and they're like, oh, something about the Klingons, and Bashir and Odo and that are like, where are the Klingons? And they're like, over there. And they look over and it's just TOS Klingons.
Yep.
And they look at Worf and they're like, what happened? What's going on? And he's just like, we do not discuss it with outsiders. And they just go, oh, okay. That's all you needed to do, I reckon. And just something weird happened with the Klingons and then they don't talk about it. But
I don't mind a non-explanation explanation. You know, it's like Bruce Willis pounding a tabletop in Looper saying like it doesn't matter with regards to the actual mechanics of time travel and stuff like that. It's like I don't think it's lazy. I think it's because like you either explain it fully or you just gloss over it. And when there isn't as much of a logical explanation, just say like, yeah, we don't talk about it, you know, and just leave it. Just leave it.
Like I was perfectly fine with what Enterprise did, but I was like, I kind of like the Worf one better, where he just was like, yeah, we don't talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, all right, we all know what a real reason is, and just, you know.
So I did like this gimmick of the characters losing their memory. It's kind of an interesting storytelling device, and I guess it kind of retcons and retroactively explains why the Kalar have the helmets, that kind of thing. So it was interesting to see those characters reimagined. Kind of a big Ortega's episode also. You know, with the whole, like, you know, I fly the ship, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. That might have turned me around on her as well. Because last season I was just like, fuck this character. Like, don't make quips at me. I'm the captain. Like,
yeah.
You know, like, oh, that sounds like a bad, you know, he'd be like, all right, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. Well, that sounds like the worst of a bad idea, or, you know, blah, blah, blah. Or
something like that.
Quippy shit. And it'll be like, excuse me, Lieutenant? Like, I don't care what stripes you're wearing. Fucking, you know,
oh my gosh.
See you later. You know, like, even the friendliest captains and whatever, they're shown to be friends with people. Like, they've shown over time, like, Starfleet is still very, like, professional.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all that sort of stuff. And that's what I thought, and that's part of the reason why I haven't got right into Lower Decks yet as well, because of the whole thing that with Mariner's character. Yeah. But that's one character that is skating through on being able to do all that because her mother is the captain.
Mm-hmm.
So she feels untouchable. So you're like, okay, that kind of makes sense. but for Ortegas to be doing it, whereas this season there didn't seem to be a lot of that. I didn't notice it anyway, of openly kind of not insubordination, but being like a smart ass and like quips and just there was a little bit at the start with Spock where they're like, you have to say something in the chair. Everybody says something in the chair, and he's like, I want the ship to go fast now. That was a bit cringy. I was just like, they don't all say something. Kirk didn't have anything. Picard had engage, and then that's about it. And now Pike's got punch it or whatever. It's like they don't all have something. Like,
and that's something new, like in like New Trek, where they've like tried to like retcon that's something that everybody says. Like, I mean, I like that's kind of like the button that they leave Picard season 3 on, where it's like, because they do the exact same dialogue with Captain Seven, where it's like, what's your thing gonna be? And
I can at least understand that because they'd served with Picard for so long, and it was like, well, that was Picard had a thing, you know. So like if you sort of came through the ranks or whatever with Picard, you'd be like, well, Picard has a thing, I should have a thing, you know. But to make it sound as if like, every captain has their own like catchphrase,
right?
Like they don't, not really.
Not everybody does.
It's just you had engage from and make it so.
Sure, yeah.
And then the rest of them were just like Cisco. What was Cisco's? Fucking do it now.
Yeah, probably something brusque and direct.
Yeah, hurry the fuck up.
Yeah,
like, do it. You know, don't make me say it again.
Right,
motherfucker.
Because I can live with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's like I will slap the taste out of your mouth and sleep well at night.
That's right. I don't care. I'm a war criminal. I don't give a fuck. Like,
right. Nobody heard that, right?
Watch how little I care about fucking war crimes. Who gives a fuck? Yeah, my son's a writer. And I like baseball. Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh, good stuff. So speaking of Spock and being cringy, so you have kind of another sequel episode in Charades, which is kind of a sequel to Spock Amok, and it's
and the one, what was the one we were saying before, the Amok Time. It's like the prequel to Amok Time.
Yeah, because I mean we're really laying the track here because we've kind of spent some time with Spock and T'Pring and their relationship, but anybody who knows Star Trek knows how this ends. Like I don't know why this episode doesn't have a mention of this. Oh, and have you met my friend Stan? He's just over here, you know.
Yeah, he's this guy. Yeah. Fight him.
yeah, you know, you can fight him if you want. I mean, I'd rather you fight your friend, but I mean that makes me hot.
I do kind of like if you look back at it now, he's sort of like, yeah, Spock sort of does what she says, but he hasn't met Kirk yet.
Yeah. Yes.
And when he meets Kirk, it's just like, whatever. I don't listen to you anymore. I'm just Jim.
Sorry,
I'm
all about. So when you,
he's got that
Spock,
magnet. See,
Spock magnet. Query. You know, when you said you were going to the gym, I thought you meant athletic exercise.
When you said I had a real gym workout, I assumed you were lifting weights. Well, it was very heavy.
Oh my gosh.
You said you came to the gym a few times. So yes.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh. But this so this is kind of like an episode where another one where we're kind of like experimenting with tone. This is you know, it's a zany sitcom.
Like a love triangle type of Yeah. And it's like, it's sort of not who's coming to dinner, but because that's more of a like they're not trying to do the whole like race thing of like, oh my God, like she brought a black guy home for dinner. You know, what will the family think? You know, like, because but it's kind of, it is kind of, because they're trying to be
in
like,
a way,
hey,
yeah.
don't, you know, don't let them know that you're human and stuff. You know, I was like, oh yeah, okay, whatever.
Right.
Because especially when you get Spock, I did like that where he wakes up after the accident or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I feel different. He sits up and, you know, and his ears are human. And, you know, he's just like, what the fuck? Cut. I was like,
really
all
good.
Right. I don't like swearing in Star Trek, like all the Picard stuff. Like, sheer fucking hubris and all else is like, and Tilly being like, oh, this is so fucking cool. I'm like, get the fuck out. Like, that's another one. It would be like, pardon me, Ensign, get the fuck out of my, you know, engineering thing, whatever. But I like that because it was funny and it cut away. You know what I mean? So it was like, okay.
It cuts it off.
Yeah. And
they didn't have to. They could have played it, you know, but because it's on streaming or whatever. But like, I like that I like that choice.
It's funnier because you don't hear him swear, I think. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I always found, like, because sometimes I'll come across South Park episodes and sometimes they're bleeped and sometimes they're not. And I find the bleeped ones funnier.
Yes.
I don't know. It just seems like, as if like, ooh, he said a word he's not supposed to say. But yeah.
Yeah. I do like one, and this is kind of like a holdover from the J.J. Abrams movies, but I do like this retroactive characterization of Spock where he's it's kind of like, don't talk about my mom, you know, kind of like he's like Marty McFly being called chicken, like, you know, as soon as somebody says like, well, your mom, and it's like, you say what, motherfucker? I will fucking end you right now. It's right. Like, I like that. That's kind of the thing that sets him off.
I'll go amok.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there you go. But like this, I mean, the scene with the mother-in-law seems like it's kind of biting a little bit of material from that J.J. Abrams like the early childhood stuff where like they refer to Spock's human side as a handicap, you know, that kind of thing.
Doesn't like it. That's why Sarek doesn't like him.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I like that they touch on that also, because it's like, I mean, you still have to find a way to reconcile that when you get to Journey to Babel or whatever the fuck it is, that this is the first time that Spock and Sarek have spoken in a number of years, however long it's been. But like, so I don't know if we're going to see Sarek in Strange New Worlds, because like, I think at this point they're supposed to be kind of estranged.
Yeah. If we do have to see Sarek, I would hope that it's a case where like we might see Sarek, but we don't see Sarek and Spock together. So like,
sure.
You know what I mean? Like Sarek might be, he's at some conference or something and Pike goes there and whatever, but like there's no scene with the two together, because then like you said, it's like, well, you know, they sort of make mention that he hasn't, like in TOS, I always got the impression that like Spock basically hasn't seen Sarek since he joined Starfleet.
Right. Because
he decides to, no, I'm not going into the Vulcan, whatever, science academy or whatever it is, I'm going to Starfleet. And they're like, what? Like, there's no Vulcans in Starfleet. Well, there fucking is now, you know?
Right.
Even though there kind of was in in Enterprise. She wasn't really Starfleet, but she was there.
Right.
That's how they got around that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's like, well, you know, she was still... Yeah.
Like, we'll have a chick. We'll have this hot chick, and she'll be the Vulcan on the thing. And be like, but Spock's the first Vulcan in Starfleet. Oh, all right. Hey, I know. That's why we won't put her in the Starfleet uniform. She can wear fucking whatever. There's leftovers we had from 7 or 9. She can wear them.
Yeah, and
they're like, yeah, now we're talking. Let's get this made.
We have a
closet. And they can do like rub downs and shit. Yeah, fuck, this show will be on forever.
Decontamination fluid or whatever the hell it was. So
That's
dumb.
Right. Oh man,
so
this show
dumb.
will be on for 20 years.
It's a license to print money. Yeah, it's like we have this closet full of velour track suits, you know, velvet cat suits that people can wear.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, these two, I like the episode before the whatever it was, the Rigel 7.
Yeah, the Among the Lotus Eaters. Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably my least favorite. And then even this one I wasn't big on. Like, it was okay, but I don't mind the Spock Chapel thing. It does seem a bit strange that for them to, you know, build it up so much for it to ultimately be nothing.
Right.
And not so much like, because I thought they did a good job with that when Boimler sort of is like, oh, you know, and she kind of gets the idea that, oh, I'm sort of standing in history's way, kind of thing. Like, I'm going to deny the world, the great Spock kind of thing. So she just kind of steps aside almost. That did a good, I thought of like, okay, that explains why it didn't last kind of thing.
Right.
But then the fact that, she's still like Chapel is still kind of pining over Spock in TOS. So maybe they're just having secret off camera hookups.
That could be it. That could be it.
That's why Bones doesn't like him. He's like, God damn it, Jim. Keeps banging my nurses.
Yeah. She keeps coming in walking all bow-legged and shit.
I'm a doctor, not a pimp.
Yeah. Goddamn cracked pelvis. Got like an organ regenerator thing on there.
Green-blooded hob. Yeah. Green-blooded hobgoblin. Yeah. Touching my nurses.
My God. Yeah, right.
But it was all right. You know, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it's fun.
It was all right. Like, I didn't mind it. I like this Spock. Spock's human now. Yeah. In a perfect world, I would have left Spock as human for a couple episodes, and let's.
Oh yeah, that would have been kind of fun.
A bit, but you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's only so much bacon he could eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. Oh my goodness. So let's see, how many more episodes do we got here? Okay, so we got Lost in Translation, Those Old Scientists, Cloak of War. Holy fuck, there's so many. All right, we got to try to rip through this quicker because otherwise we're going to be here.
Lost in Translation wasn't much. It was more Uhura being confident.
It's a big Uhura episode, and this one gets points for kind of connecting those dots. I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say I didn't get, like, you know, some of the nostalgia goosebumps or whatever, where it's like, you know, at the end of the episode, you're like, oh hey, this is Jim Kirk, this is Mr. Spock, you know, that kind of thing.
That was good. Yeah,
it was a really cool scene. It was a really good scene.
Like
and
hammer flashbacks as well. That was cool.
I like that, and I like, you know, that it's almost kind of like an episode of Cold Case where just, like, you know, his ghost disappears at the end, and I thought that was just fine. It's it's a as you said, it's just, you know, kind of like an episode in the thing. Also, with regards to Kirk, this is the first time we meet actual Jim Kirk, you know, because like the two other times have been alternate versions of it. This is the actual Jim Kirk that we know.
Lan calls him really quickly.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you see him on the data pad there.
But yeah, episode wise, I guess this is, you know, like you said, this is actual Kirk. It's not Pike's alternate time future thing, and it's not Lan's time travel thing either. So. Yeah.
But I do like, and it's so dumb. It makes no goddamn sense because, like, you know, when in the menagerie, they're going to like the hospital or whatever, wherever Pike is convalescing, and it's like, well, hey, have you ever met Captain? Well, when I first met Pike, he was when he was promoted to fleet captain.
Fleet captain.
Sure enough,
Leo
he's got
DiCaprio in that moment.
Yeah. And it just comes to nothing, and all it is just in service of that one line of dialogue. So technically, it's no longer contradictory. But yeah, it's and one bit that I missed from the previous episode, because I don't remember if it ties back here or not, but you establish this rivalry, not just between the Kirk boys, Sam and Jim, but also you have this terrific scene, very memeable, with Spock and Sam Kirk, where it's like, he's got like the crumbs on the I love that scene, but it establishes that there's a little bit of underlying tension there, and I think if I'm remembering the scene correctly, that's kind of what leads to Uhura coming into the scene to bring in Spock to meet Jim. But I think the one with the crumbs and all that with Sam, I think that was when he was human. Correct.
Because they show him as the Vulcan and he's like restrained, thinking like, this fucking slob, and then he's human. It's like, clean up your goddamn mess, or whatever. He screams at him. Yeah. And he's trying to kill him. They're like, whoa,
I will end you.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
But yeah, I like that though, because it's basically like you have Uhura explaining like how she figured out the problem. And it wasn't just like all her hallucinations and that kind of thing, but it wasn't like, oh, I just found this old message from Hema and I knew what to do. It was like that was part of it, but she figured it out, like those aliens and that are there and they're being killed by the refiner. We need to do this. And what do you think? And so her sort of like, it shows how good she already is.
Yeah.
And obviously we know she's going to be sort of this top expert kind of thing, but like in communications and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And it makes sense that then at the end you have, when she's talking about like, oh, this is how I saved the day, basically. Well, how do you communicate that to your characters? And you have your communications officer introducing Spock to Kirk. I was like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So, and just they almost did the Predator handshake.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Like, Spock, you son of a bitch.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Fucking great.
I do like that it ends up being Uhura that introduces them. And it's just something that like, there's no other reference to it in history. So there's no reason why that can't happen or didn't happen.
Yeah, I would have assumed, like, if I was guessing, I would have assumed the first interaction that Kirk has with Spock would have been like, this is Lieutenant Kirk calling from the Farragut or whatever, blah 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 blah, and he's dealing with Spock, and there's like tension there because that's what the old trope. Oh, they hate each other and now they're friends, like the J.J. Abrams movies kind of thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But I like this where they're just like, this is Kirk, this is Spock. And they're like, hello, nice to meet you.
Yeah, and like that's, credits, exactly.
Yeah. It's like, they don't have to hate each other. There's nothing like, they meet, and great, hello, no problem.
Well, and speaking, continuing to evoke the J.J. Abrams stuff, it is interesting to hear Jim and Sam talk about their father, George, who is very much alive in this continuity and is a very different character. This guy is not Chris Hemsworth. No. And it's kind of it's just kind of interesting because that's really the last time that George Kirk has really been referred to. So it's interesting to hear about him in a different context and in a different light.
Yeah, because the old, like, the new, like, Chris Pine-Kirk is very much like, oh, I don't have a dad, I hope my dad would be proud of me kind of thing. Whereas like Shatner Kirk is more just like, there's my dad, but I'll do what I want. Like,
right.
I'm my own man kind of thing. Like, I'm ambitious. I'm going to fucking, I'm going to be the captain. Like, whereas Pines Kirk was almost like, did he want to be captain? Or he just kind of got manipulated into it by Pike.
By Pike, yeah. Ironically enough.
yeah. Like your dad was in charge of a starship for 12 minutes or whatever. It's like, right.
Yeah. What'd you do with yourself?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Whereas like classic Shatner Kirk he's the kid was 5 years old, wanting to be a starship captain kind of thing, like it's one of those people like, is this, I'm going to do this, and they do it, So, different take on it. That's fine. I didn't really have any problem with the Chris Pine stuff, but
no. And it's cool that you're doing something different. It's like, I if you're going to do something different, then do something different. I mean, like, I think we're kind of spoiled as Transformers fans, for having like different takes, familiar characters, but done differently. So, we could probably spend as much time as we've already talking about the crossover episode, those old scientists. A lot of stuff we've talked about already, but yeah, I just I don't even at a time where I'm trying to kind of race through things, I don't even really know what I want to touch on, because
I like that with those old scientists. I liked I wasn't sure how they were going to do it. I thought they would just like Boimler and Mariner, they just come through the portal or whatever. Yeah. And they're like, ta-da. Okay. But the fact that they started it off in the animation, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And then
how it's bookended. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the animated credits.
Yeah. Which was really cool.
That was good. The only thing that I thought was like, I liked the fact that they were able to get the voice actors to play the live action one, but it was like, I was like, so how old's Mariner meant to be? And how old is and Boimler? Like, because
speaking of those old scientists.
Not that they look old, but by any means. I mean, fuck, they're younger than me, but like, I saw an interesting thing too, which I never picked up on before. They were like, so how tall is Jack Quaid? I don't think he's freakishly tall. Like, I think he's like 6'1" or 6'2".
Sure.
But standing next to Lan and Uhura and Ortega and someone else, he's towering over them. And they were like, okay, so let's say that he's 6'5" or whatever he is. Sure. Then you go back and look at Lower Decks and the amount of characters that tower over Boimler.
Right.
And it's like, I don't know his name, but like the gruff Bajoran guy.
Shax.
Right. They're like, he must be 8 foot tall.
Yeah. That is a big dude.
And it's like, there's a cartoon,
According to Dr. Google, Jack Quaid is 6'1".
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so he's tall, but he's not like, I mean, I'm taller than that.
Yeah.
But obviously, Christina, the Lan actress, she's obviously not very tall at all.
Right. Yeah.
She must be like 5'4" or something like that. And Carol Kane is notoriously tiny.
Right.
Like, like you just look at Scrooged and like Bill Murray fucking towers over. And like Bill Murray's about 6 foot tall. He's not short either. But that was why she was so funny and all this. She's this tiny little lady.
Yeah.
She's so funny and boisterous and aggressive.
Yep. So according to Dr. Google, actress Christina Chong is first 39 years old, but then is also 5'4". 5'4".
Yeah. So
tiny.
But I liked, I only found out yesterday and I was looking up some YouTube stuff for this, that Frakes was the director.
Yeah,
I
and
noticed that in the credits the first time.
So you saw that clip where they're talking to Will Wheaton saying that like the Riker line was improvised.
Is that I saw it on some? It was where he sits over the chair.
So there's a saddle. There's a saddle in Pike's ready room, and he's just like Riker, just like. Yeah, that was completely improvised, and
I wasn't with Will. I didn't see anything with Will Wheaton, but some other thing on. It was like Trek something. I can't remember. It was YouTube people talking about Star Trek, and
So Will Wheaton hosts a post show, like it's called The Ready Room, and basically, like, so he was interviewing both Frakes and Jack Quaid, and so they're talking about amongst themselves because, like, Frakes was just like, he lost it when Quaid does that because he wasn't expecting it. But anyway, sorry, you were saying?
Oh no, yeah, but like that, and I thought that's cool because then you almost get like a three-way crossover then because you got Lower Decks, you got Strange New Worlds, and then you got Riker with the TNG, over the top kind of thing, which is pretty cool. I wondered too. I've never seen the actors' faces or in real life, but I'm assuming the woman that plays the Orion girl and the black guy that's like a robot or whatever in Strange New World, I'm assuming they don't look anything like their characters.
I would imagine so.
Not even to the point of like paint her green, give him a face plate, like
it is amazing how close they actually get with wigs and makeup.
Yeah, it's only their physical age where you can clearly see that okay, they're not 20 or whatever they're meant to be in the thing, but whatever, again, I wouldn't that's just okay, you let it go. But I mean, Boimler had the purple hair and Mariner had her sleeves rolled up,
and for me being a fan of both shows, those were the only two things I needed. It's just like, and I saw those in a preview, and I'm like, oh, she's got the rolled up sleeves. So that way you can dodge Greg's uniform legislation.
Yeah, that's right.
And then also I think it's like just the right shade of purple. It's like it's not too dark, it's not too light, because
you have to really look to be like, is his hair purple? Which is a cartoon. You see it straight away, but it's that sort of. It's like that thing. There was a thing a while ago. All the guys that had black hair, they put like blue in their hair, but you could kind of see it, but not. It was like that kind of thing. I like too the whole thing with the callback to the Ad Asperger, whatever it was, that turned out to be the poster, and Boimler running around being like, "Oh, I can't say too much," And that was the thing I've seen. Yeah. I've seen the thing with where he says to Ortegas as well, like, "Oh, you're a war hero." I've seen thing on this YouTube thing I was saying as well that they were talking about like, "Oh, is that because of what she did with the Klingons from Discovery era, the war with the Klingons, or is it what she's gonna do? And then is she a war hero and she got killed kind of thing?" And it's like,
oh yeah,
this is why she's not around. So because he's just kind of like, okay, I gotta go. But yeah, no, I liked it. I mean, I've seen people just absolutely gushing over it.
Yeah,
it's the greatest Star Trek that they've done since Best of Both Worlds and blah blah. Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, I don't know about all that.
And that's where I get a bit gatekeepery, and I'm like, well, if you've only watched Star Trek for 3 years, then probably,
sure,
you would think that, but it's fine. If you love it, you love it. Good for you. Great.
Yeah,
I have a problem with that.
Sure.
But your up and down tone issues, like we were saying, if you had any issues at all with that, you would have a massive issue with the way that this one went, because you have, hey, here's the Lower Decks thing, and then next, like we said, M stands for murder.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I mean, there isn't that much more to say than we already have, because we've talked about Mbega and some of the choices he makes, but this I've seen some dark Star Trek episodes. This one is dark. And I don't think you'd be able to hear the words incoming transport the same way ever again.
This is the Unforgiven of Star Trek.
It really is.
Like, look, I can go and do what you want me to do, but I'm very good at it, and you won't like it when I'm finished. Like, you think you want this, but you don't. Like, it's like we just need Mbanga to go fight. No. Because I'll kill one person, I'll kill everybody.
He'll just keep killing until there's no one left to kill.
Keep killing. What's that? Someone in the transport buffer?
Yeah.
Bye. Sorry, we got other people coming in. See you later, Ensign Nobody.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And I like that too, because that scene was good because you had Chapel being like, "What do we do? Hang on, no, you can't bring people in. Like, you can't. Don't send people through the transporters. Ensign, whoever's still in there, or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Oh, what are we going to do?" And most other shows would be like this whole let's talk about it philosophical thing. But Bengi just walks over and just goes, delete. Done.
Yeah. With no fucks given.
Just like, no. It's like, no. You just delete, done. Right? That's how we roll, Like, sorry. I was waiting for a half-assed, like, needs of the many, needs of the few thing, but it was like, that's cool. So
yeah,
because that's what it is.
It is the most murdery episode that I've seen in quite a while, but you intercut that with so much great tension. Like this is a really well acted episode. And
he's great. The guy that babs someone, the Benga guy, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's really good. I mean, he exudes quiet menace very well. And deep seated trauma. Like, I mean, like this is like, deep hurting the television episode for sure.
He plays Coiled Spring very well.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's a great way of putting it. And it really kind of reminds audiences that, well, wait a sec, during this Discovery era, there was a whole damn Klingon war that we didn't know about previously. And I do appreciate that Star Trek hasn't forgotten about it.
That Burnham started.
Yeah. It's a Vulcan hello, what are you going to do? But
right.
Like, but it's interesting to get those compare and contrast with how each member of the crew has dealt with their time during the war. I had said something previously. I don't remember if it was during our last episode or somewhere else, but like I had talked about the season finale of season 1, a Quality of Mercy, where it's like, we flash forward to Balance of Terror times. And I was very critical of the characterization of Ortega's, where basically like she was kind of co-opted to fit the role of like this other no-name helmsman guy that was like, super racist against the Romulans. And I was like, that doesn't fit at all. But
I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. I know that. I'm trying to think of his name now, but I know who you mean. Yeah, Kirk.
Yeah,
dresses him down. Keep your bigotry off my bridge.
Exactly. Yep. And so, but then, like, we see her behave very similarly here. With regards to her PTSD from the Klingon War. So suddenly, something that I thought was so out of the ordinary for her character seems to be not all that out of the ordinary with regards to her trauma for being maybe a war hero in the Klingon War.
Well, that's sort of now it's like a precursor to Kirk as well. They'll like let them die. He's like it's like if He's got it's not the right thing to say, but there's a reason to say it. Well, they have a reason for saying it. You know what I mean? So she might not be right for feeling the way she does, but she has a reason for it. Yep. You know, and that's the way with Kirk in Undiscovered Country. Like when he says "let them die," he's not right in saying that, but there's a reason why he says it, and then that's how you storytelling. You know what I mean? Whereas now, too many times now, people are just like, "Oh, you couldn't have a character say that. That's terrible." It's that's the point. It's terrible, and that people are sometimes terrible, and then they go, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that." You know.
Right, and so that they can have that character arc. When Kirk is at Camp Kittimer, and the new chancellor is you've restored my father's faith, and it's you've restored my son's. It's
he realizes he was wrong
and he's here. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, it's an obstacle to overcome.
Right.
And it's Sarek, he hates the fact that Spock is half human, like we said before, but he's not right for doing that. But he's a Vulcan. It's how they go, Frank or Billy or whatever, they're so racist. It's Frank's 80 years old. The things he says might be racist, but it's because he's from a time when it wasn't right, but it was just more accepted. Mm-hmm. Sarek's that old school guy. He doesn't like the humans. And it's oh no, but we're all friends now. Sarek's fuck, I'm 200 years old.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now my son is half human. Jesus. That's
right.
That's what it's meant to be. It's the old guy that, he was some old slave trader kind of thing, and then his son fights in the Civil War or something like that. You know what I mean? And it's what are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense to me. They're not right. He's not right for that, but it's just a reason as to why characters do things, And that's why I thought, that was good that Ortegas had a bit of sort of not chip on a shoulder, but sort of fuck him. I don't care. And even Lan has a bit like that with the Gorn too. She's a bit but hers is more just total fear. It's there's a Gorn ship. She's let's go. Fucking warp 10. Fucking let's go. Let's get out of here. Oh, no, we'll see what they want. She's no, you don't need to see what they want. Just fucking go. Just leave. She's no, I'm not dealing with this shit again. So, but yeah.
So during this season, you see kind of this new take on Pike, and he's more collaborative, arguably occasionally less assertive in his command style, but this is one example where I don't think he's being a terrifically good captain. Read the room, buddy. Nobody wants to be at this dinner. And the fact that he's well, hey, I'll cook by my open fire on my spaceship and everything will be great. And and just being so oblivious that
especially when you got I can understand if it was just Chapel, because she's younger and she's relatively new. But I get the idea that Pike and M'Benga, they've known each other for a while. Neither one of them is some young upstart, that's strolled on in. Uhura's young and new cadet ensign, she's fresh-faced, she's new to Starfleet, But M'Benga's as much of a veteran as Pike is. Mm-hmm. And for him to just be it'll be fine, we'll all have dinner and chill out. And it does seem a bit, I did like it at the end though, where Pike's pretty much look, I know you murdered him, but we just won't talk about it. Yeah. Although you don't know, but that's I like the when M'Benga actually kills the Klingon guy. Mm-hmm. It's behind the screen.
Yeah.
So you can't actually, there is no definitive answer as to whether they got into a fight and he happened to kill him, or whether he just straight up went, fuck it. I'll just kill him. Like, he may have just straight up murdered him.
Yeah. Well, now, I mean, and it's so interesting because I don't know what this Klingon guy, the whatever his name is, but I don't get what he's playing at, because he is on Omega's ass the whole time, just like needling him. And it's just like, motherfucker, what else did you think was going to happen?
Yeah. Well, he's one of those, I think they're trying to show, like, as well, like, every now and then, like, Star Trek will do the politics thing, and I don't mean like, like progressive politics or that, but just you have a politician character kind of, and he's obviously come in and, like, he was this, everyone thinks he's this fucking, what's the word, like, despot, led the massacre, killed all these people, and then it turns out, like, no, it was M'Benga.
Yeah. It turns out
M'Benga,
he is,
and he just took the credit for it.
of Djgal, for sure.
Yeah. And the Klingon guy just took credit for it.
Yeah.
And that's where everyone thinks M'Benga hates him, because he killed all these people that he knew. And he killed, and then, and he killed his own men and all this. And it's like, no, M'Benga hates him because M'Benga knows that he killed all those Klingons, and this guy's getting the fucking credit for it. And almost, in a way, like, and not in a sense that M'Benga wants the glory of killing them, but
no,
it's like, you're all kowtowing and bending over backwards for this Klingon guy who, a few years ago we were fucking enemies to. And the reason is you're also afraid of him because he's this fucking butcher of whatever. And he isn't even.
Right.
Like, because I am. You know what I mean? It's like, I know he's not. Why are you frightened of him? Why are you giving him everything he wants? He's nothing. Like, he's a pushover. He's not a threat at all. And I know for a fact, because all the people that he apparently killed, I killed. So, like, you can see him just sitting there, just like I said, coiled spring.
Coiled
just
spring,
fucking rage. So once the knife comes out, and it's like, the classic, the struggle with the knife. I think M'Benga's just gone, fuck it. It slipped.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, he fell on the knife.
Yeah.
I mean,
because
happened to be I was holding it.
That's right. Like, he's not, and because we know he's not Bones. He's not Bones where like Bones would never have deleted the guy from the transport
buffer. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Bones would have been the guy arguing against it.
Right. And would have found a way.
Yeah, and M'Benga just like, no, he doesn't even say a word, just like delete. And then, he saves all those other people by doing it. So, it's kind of justified. But the fact that he's just like, it's like, I've done this before, almost, Yeah. And he steps in so that Chapel doesn't have to do it. So he's still, it's more about saving her, I think. But yeah, I like that it's like, if you want it to be that it was a struggle and the guy sort of got what was coming to him, it was, or you could just be like, well, the guy picked a fight with the wrong guy and M'Benga just went, fuck it, And then Pike even kind of implies that, like, look, it's, and M'Benga's like, I told you what happened. It was an accident. And then Pike's like, oh, yeah, okay. Sure.
Sure, whatever. Sure,
it's
whatever.
Like,
no exactly. Problem. It's like, wink, wink.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, and then it becomes, what did Chapel actually see?
Yeah, that's right.
Mm. So, because we know what we, the audience, saw, but that's not to say that
Chapel saw what actually happened. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right. And I wonder, we were talking about the courtroom episode. It's like, are we gearing up for another courtroom episode? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
It could be, I could see it being like a source of tension or conflict in a different episode just between those two characters, like when they disagree about something or whatever and he starts to, I don't know, he pulls rank on her or whatever rank she is, or something, and she'd be like, look, I saw what you did to
Captain
Captain Turtlehead, or whatever, you know, like
right.
fucking let's not, or he starts getting a bit sanctimonious or something. She'd be like, oh, lecture me on whatever when you're out murdering Klingons, you know, like I saw what you did, you know, or something like that, you know. It's a bring him back down to earth kind of thing if he starts to get a bit, you know.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But I mean, but I could see that maybe doing that, but not. That would be a way to make Chapel a bit more assertive and give her, like, lift her up as opposed to bringing Mbenga down, because I don't want to tear down Mbenga's character because he's awesome. So
right, exactly. And then of course you get the payoff of the space cocaine as well, because it's like like, oh, that's where we saw that, you know, he's juicing on venom. And I love that this surly Andorian commander is like, I need the stuff, man. I need that Bane juice. And I don't know, there's something about this guy, this Andorian commander, like, you know, they're all dressed up in like their spiffy military outfits, and he's got like this like bitchin' scar and stuff. And I couldn't help but wonder, it's like, is this guy that's like pretending to be badass? It's like, is this like a Kylo Ren situation where it's like, oh no, I got a small scratch on my face, better make it a gnarly scar or something. I have no evidence to base that off of other than like his desperation to get the formula. It's like, I need it, man. I just need it. But I don't know. And then that dude gets super murdered along with that poor kid. Which I thought that dude was going to eat shit earlier. I mean, obviously, I mean, he's dead man walking, but like, I thought it was that thing after they like, you know, get his heart going and he like, he wanders outside the medical tent. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. It's like, hey buddy, just blam.
The guy gets shot in the back of the head with his helmet, and at the start of Saving Private Ryan, he takes his helmet off, and they're like, "Oh, you lucky son of a bitch!" And then it's like, and then dead straight away. It's like,
yep.
Yeah,
unreal.
I thought something like that was going to happen too. Yeah.
But then, so then you go from like the most grimdark Star Trek episode, possibly ever, to the absolute zaniest episode ever. And I don't know. I guess, I mean,
you got a lot to answer for, Joss Whedon.
There's I will put my thoughts this way. I didn't hate it. In fact, I rather like it. You can tell who is a musical performer and who can sing and who can't, which is fine. Again, not a lot of Mbenga in this episode. No. Well, let's just put it that way. But no, I guess the part of me that I do appreciate about this episode is that it actually does a lot of plot as well. I mean, because like you get the whole Kirk and La'an situation. You get the resolution of the Spock Chapel thing. You get obviously it's a big Uhura episode. But yeah, so I mean, say what you will, I like it. I mean, and I don't think and I think there's enough plot in there that you can't just skip it outright. It's not self-contained, which
I mean, I could have done without it personally. Sure. I think if your lead is not a great singer, which clearly Pike mustn't be because he didn't get much to do. No. He doesn't have any great song. He sort of sings a little bit, but then it's, like they really went like, okay, Lan can sing, let's give her some songs, and Rebecca Romaine, they seem to, I like that they brought up the fact that like, in musicals, characters will quite often break up into song when they want to express feelings that they wouldn't normally tell anyone else. Like their other characters, like in real life. And then, of course, that's what they did. Like you get sort of almost inner monologue songs. Like Lan is, you know, singing about how she's, you know, this hard-ass security officer, but she's, you know, emotional, and obviously she's still struggling with the Khan stuff and the Gorn stuff and the Kirk stuff, and, you know, like you said, Spock is dealing with the whole chapel thing, you know. I just thought, like, it was okay. I didn't hate it, but I just didn't particularly think many of the songs were very good either. That's all. I was just sort of like, oh, okay. Like, it wasn't like, oh, that's a really good song for a musical number. It was just sort of like, oh, okay, you know. It seemed like they wanted to do a musical show and then realized half the cast can't sing.
Yeah.
Like, Chapel's song was probably the best.
Sure.
Where she's like in the it was almost became like a speakeasy type of
real
number.
real boozy.
Yeah, and like for all the jokes we were making before of, you know, like, oh, girls get it done and all this, it was a real sort of go girl moment kind of thing. Like, yeah, you got your fellowship, you know what you're doing. Spock's gonna be Spock. You go and fucking you do your thing. Like, good, go do it. You know, like, yeah, you don't need anyone else kind of thing. Like that's how you do that to me, in my opinion, is like that, rather than having the whole, like we said, I'm going to smash the patriarchy, you know, because I'm telling you that I'm doing it. It's like, show it, don't tell it.
Yeah, just show it, don't tell. It's television. It's television.
Yeah. And show it in the actions and consistency with the characters and the writing and stuff, which that did. So that was probably the highlight of it for me, was her song, because it wasn't just like inner monologue stuff coming out. It was actual progression for the character. So, and because, like you said, we got the little Carol Marcus tease.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like, I knocked this bitch up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I go
hey,
to the
Kirk's gonna Kirk. So
that's right. Yeah.
It's like, I didn't know. But I did. It is interesting where, again, like the characterization of Pike has been kind of like weirdly all over the road this season. But I did appreciate that, like, you know, he's shown in this series to, you know, have turned over a new leaf. He's going to, you know, try to be more open-minded and flexible and easygoing until you make him sing. And like, I appreciate that he just has no tolerance and no chill for any of this. He's like, this is fucking bullshit. Yeah. Where's this dumb music coming from? Where can I throw some torpedoes at this to make it stop? And I like that you kind of get back to that kind of brusque and bristly Pike, you know, where really the character has been shown to be rehabbed to be, you know, kind of softer and gentle and you know, kind of like low T beta male energy or whatever those.
I wouldn't be surprised if excuse me. I wouldn't be surprised if that is the first step, and then of course the season finale.
Yeah.
Maybe we're gonna get a bit more of a like, okay, you've had your fun being happy-go-lucky Pike, but there's shit to be done.
Yeah,
you know, because in the episode, I didn't really like the episode, but the Rigel 7 one, I didn't dislike it. I was just sort of like, okay. I don't like characters having to catch up.
Oh, sure.
Me. Yeah. What am I doing? Well, I know who you are. You're the Doctor, and you're Lan, and you're Pike. Oh, come on. You know, to me, it's why Predators are in Alien movies. The sequels don't work as much because they're like, something's hunting us. It's in the trees. What is it? It's like, we know it's a predator. We saw the first movie.
Right.
Like, get on with it. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't need to watch, and I need an hour and 10 minutes of Danny Glover figuring out it's a predator. I know it's a predator.
Right.
Like, you know? But
yeah,
I think that the bit I did like on it was when he sort of snaps to his senses a bit, and he goes into like action hero mode, and he's doing like the machine gun fights and stuff like that. That was sort of
Pike,
you know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, he's still like a badass when he needs to be.
Right.
So I think it might almost be a case of like they've purposefully made him sort of soft and fluffy Pike so that he has to realize, well, that shit doesn't get it done when you're in captain of the Enterprise. You're going to have to,
yeah,
like, harden up a bit if you're going to save everyone from the Gorn,
Right. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, this is dumb, but like, it'll be interesting to see what they do with his hairstyle. Like, because seriously, I think that's like an expression of kind of how he is as a character. He's a little more freewheeling. Yeah, I think so. Whereas like back in Discovery, again, the costuming department hadn't quite figured that out yet, that like that's what everybody wants. So and conversely, when he shows up as Admiral Pike in the flashback with the time crystal, he doesn't have it's just combed over normally. So it'll be interesting to see, depending upon what the span of time is, what his hair looks like, to kind of show perhaps a more tightening up of his demeanor. But I will also say one of the moments that did kind of make me smile warmly is like, so after they blow up the wave and things are back to normal, Pike dances with Pelia on the bridge. I did like that moment where it's like he's no longer under the influence, but still gives himself over to the moment. And I do kind of like that. And last thing, I haven't seen enough people talking about this online, but like, am I the only one that thinks it's clever that the Klingons are a K-pop band? I mean, it's K-pop for fuck's sake. Come on.
I've seen people just be like, Gene Roddenberry would be rolling in his grave if he saw that. I'm like, it's a joke. Like, the most cliched thing they could have done would have been the Klingons were like some death metal.
Oh,
band,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's talk to the Klingons, and they're just like, go, 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 go. Like, they would have been so cliched and just like, of course they're fucking metal band. Like, the fact that they flipped, like, what's the absolute opposite of what they could be? And like, it was, I just sort of laughed and went, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's
on,
a gag that,
and then I just saw the world losing its shit over it. I was like, oh, dude,
yeah. And the joke is so fast; it comes and goes so quickly. It's like it's not a big deal.
And the Klingon captain or whatever he is, like, visibly reacts like he's horrified. Like, Pike has a enemy for life in that guy now, because it's like, you made us sing K-pop.
Turned us into a goddamn boy band.
Dishonored me and my family for generations. You know what I mean? Like, he'll be out there. I wouldn't be surprised he'll come back, that guy. He'll just have like a full vendetta against Pike.
Yep. So we made it. Finally, we made it to the final episode of season 2. Hegemony. The Gorn are back, and I think I noticed this in what was whatever the first episode was with the Gorn. I am surprised the amount of red paint that these shows can get away with, because like when everybody's like holed up in that diner, there's just like red streaky fingerprints everywhere, and I'm just like, come on, man. I mean, it gets almost like cartoonish after a while, where it's just like, I mean, I would imagine that like the set decoration department was they just had like cans of just like red syrup that they're just like throwing everywhere. Like, this town goes from being like idyllic American Midwestern town to just being like soaked in blood immediately. Cracks me up.
I had to double check it as well, and I still haven't technically checked it, but I thought for a moment when they were like, the town is set up to be like the old Midwest of America in the 19 whatevers. Yeah. I was like, is this the planet from Miri? Where they go and only the kids are left? They turn and they're like, the old people were wiped out or whatever. And I'm like, and there's just the kids.
Right.
And I was like, and I can't remember. There's one of the kids, he's famous. He was in other things. It wasn't Ron Howard's brother. There's a different episode. Oh, it's he's in Scrooged as well. That's right. He's the guy, in Scrooged, the homeless guy that Bill Murray is like, oh yeah, you know, he's sort of friends with him on the street, and then in the dark timeline or whatever, he's frozen to death.
Oh, right.
You'd know him. You'd be like, that's that guy. He pops up as like, he's like the Q in action movies and stuff. Like, you know, I think he's in Tango and Cash and things like that. Yeah, he's a kid in Star Trek. But I thought, oh, is this meant to be the planet, that same planet? So like in 10 years' time, what, Kirk's going to come back and all, because then everyone got wiped out. And I'm like, oh, but I don't think it is. I think it was just like, hey, we're running out of money. Let's just shoot on location in bumfuck nowhere. So.
Well, see, and in a way though, it doesn't feel cheap in the way that season 2 of Picard felt cheap.
No.
But ironically enough, you have 2 cost-cutting episodes. It's like, you know, you have this America set, and then you have all the Toronto stuff from the time travel episode, and it's like it all tracks. It's like it doesn't feel blatant or cheap.
No, it just seemed like, okay, yeah, they're like. It seemed a little weird that like they were still in, I guess, like they looked like a contemporary town, like they didn't sort of, but yeah, nothing, you know. It was just like, okay, cool. So we this planet's been set up to be blah blah blah. Okay, awesome,
right?
Great. You know,
which is kind of a classic Star Trek thing to do. It's like, oh, now we've gone to the gangster planet. Now we've gone to the Nazi planet. Now we've gone to the space hippie planet. You know.
Plus, I think it has more effect when you see the aftermath. Like you said, with the red paint and shit everywhere. Yeah. If that had been sort of sterile Star Trek, you know, future buildings, you'd be like, oh, but because it's like a diner and the milk bar and the oh no, all those people and those kids, you know, like they go in the one and there's like the cot or the bassinet or whatever, and there's just blood and shit everywhere. So the Gorn like eating babies and you know, if it had just been in
Star Trek metal,
if it had been like in you know, like in the medical bay or something, it's blood everywhere, but I don't know, I think you subconsciously feel it a bit more because that looks like where I live, kind of, you know, like it's that sort of, not where I live, but like, you know,
sure.
Nowhere looks like that down here. But yeah, I wonder if that was it too. We sort of, and it's that old school, like 50s horror movie kind of thing to, you know, gone from another planet, you know, or whatever. Like it's, so, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it seemed to,
Well, and we talked about this earlier, but like I don't mind this creature design for the Gorn.
Yeah.
I think it works just fine. I mean, it's not what a big
they
deal.
Would have been if they'd been capable of it. I'm sure that's what they would have done. Right. In the original series, you know, like in the 60s. But when you got small budgets and you need an alien, well, what do we got? You know?
Yeah.
And you get the guy in the suit. But again, they did keep saying on the show that all the Gorn from that ship or that landing party or whatever, like, so basically all the little like lizard Gorn babies are running around. They're all babies, and the Gorn that Spock and Chapel killed on the bridge of the whatever ship was, they were supposed to be a young Gorn as well. So they could sort of be like, yeah, that's what they're like, and then they mature into, you know, the slow Shatner Gorn. You know, like, he was and it's the Gorn, that guy, the Gorn that Kirk fights is the Gorn captain of the other ship. So presumably your captain would be older, wiser. You know what I mean?
Right. The more mature one, for sure.
It's just that the Enterprise happened to have, you know, young, like fit captain. Right. But even if you had looked at like what if it was Picard? Sure. It was like an old man. Like, so If he's like the Gorn, he might be the Gorn Picard, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
I
like that. It's all very geriatric.
I mean, we know the real reason is just special effects and
sure
that it's of its time and things like that. But, you know, I much prefer this, the way they've done it, and the potential of being like, yeah, they're the baby Gorns and the young Gorns, and we haven't seen the real Gorn yet, which are the Shatner Gorns, compared to what they did in Enterprise, where it was just like, oh, yeah, that's what the Gorn are like. And it's like, it was a really bad CGI and just...
They're real bad.
You know, it's like, I'll just bring the suit out and just say that's what they look like and just make a joke of it. It's like, oh, they don't even look real. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. You know what I mean? Like, you can write away anything if you just have the right bit of exposition.
Exactly. I do like this bit of dialogue between Captain Pike and Admiral April, where it's like they're monsters. And April says, like, monster is a word to describe those who don't understand us. And Pike says, sometimes a monster is just a monster. And I like... One of the things I like about Strange New Worlds is like they kind of blow the dust off of underutilized, underexplored things from the classic TOS era, and the Gorn is kind of one of those. It's like, well, you know, at a time where us as fans were kind of burnt out on Klingons, kind of burnt out on Romulans. What else can we do? Oh, well, you know, we got this one lizard guy from that one episode. Turns out that's kind of our big bad.
Well, they can't they can't use the Borg. They can't, unless they do a sneaky Enterprise, because Enterprise used the Borg.
Which they are,
clever about it. No one will find them for 500 years. Or, I see what you did there.
Yeah, I see what you did there. Yeah.
They, like we said, burn out on the Klingons. You can't use the Romulans at all.
No.
I mean, you could use them so long as nobody talks to them or sees them. Because in Balance of Terror, when Kirk sees the Sarek Romulan,
old Mark Leonard wearing a different outfit,
that's the first time. It's supposed to be the first time that any Romulan or human have ever seen each other.
Yeah,
which I don't. Even when I first saw that episode, I was like, that seems a bit strange. They've got big fucking TV screens in their bridge.
Yeah.
How did no one go like on screen? Oh, look, you look like a Vulcan.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so you can't really use the Romulans. And then, like you said, what else do you drag out? The Andorians a bit, I guess, but there's Andorians in Starfleet. So,
right.
You could, then you just have to, what are the ones? I forget their names now. The Tellarites. You could do something with them.
But they're also allies. Like one of them is on the judge panel for Una's trial.
Yeah, so they have to be like a rogue group of.
Sure.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to do anything with Trelane, because Mariner brought it up, because that's where Boimler goes, oh, my Q, or something like that. And he goes,
Q, yeah.
They talk about Q. They don't know about Q yet. They got a whole Trelane thing happening. And I was just like, I like that.
See, I like that. I like that a lot.
But yeah, I like that they've gone, well, who can be we need a big bad. Like everyone's had it. Like the TOS, like you said, you got the Klingons, Picard had the Borg, Deep Space Nine had the Dominion and the Cardassians, and Voyager sort of took over the Borg, really.
Right.
But Picard was done with them by then, you know what I mean? It was like, well, and then not Voyager, Enterprise had what they were called.
The Xindi.
That's it. I was going to say, they were like one alien species, but there was like 6 or 7 different. Like there was bird ones and lizard ones and monkey ones, and there was a whole,
which is pretty clever. I
like that.
Yeah, and kind of more realistic.
Yeah, because I remember them explaining it in the show, and it was like, well, on certain planets, like one species becomes dominant and evolves into the humanoid thing. So we had like the ape species and became humans. So we're kind of like evolved apes. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
The Klingons had something, whatever it was, some sort of creature, and it evolved into the Klingon humanoid type thing, and Vulcans and whatever. And then there's the Xindis were like, they had like 6 of them. They all evolved together. It's like, oh shit, you know. But yeah, and I think you have the Gorn as bad guys. I think as long as they do them, I like them using them sparingly, and they're sort of their horror movie things at the moment. Especially now they've shown that Pike's girl, Captain, she got
Patel.
bitten, and she's bitten, and she's got the
old
Gorn
Captain
eggs in
Marie.
her. Yep. See, that could help snap Pike out of his friendly fucking cooking sessions as well.
Yep. Yeah. Hair goes down, fire goes out. He's just like, you know, get your shit. Captain's table is canceled. Get your shit from the officer's mess or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's all like, well, I like to tell you about our newborn baby or something like that. And I'm like, good news. We're going to have a baby together. Too bad it's a lizard.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I have something to tell you. I have terrific news. We're going to have a baby. It's a fucking lizard.
Yeah. And you said you liked Scotty.
Yeah. I like it. I like that he's actually Scottish, and that like he's not doing a cartoon accent. That's just his accent. Because like, I mean, I like Simon Pegg. I like Simon Pegg as Scotty, but there is a little bit of doing a cartoon thing. Yeah. And this feels a little more organic. And I like that he's shown to be somewhat of a miracle worker already by like, you know, figuring how to like, you know, hotwire this shuttle and that he's got a little bit of the same trauma that some of the other characters have. It's like these Gorn are fucking scary. So I mean, I like that touch for him. But I do like the reunion between Scotty and Pelia though, where it's I thought that was well, and she's actually the first person chronologically in canon to call him Scotty. Everyone is just like Mr. Scott, Mr. Scott, Mr. Scott. And then it's like, and she's like, you know, right off the bat, just Scotty.
Yeah. So I like the actor. As soon as he started talking, I'm like, that's Scotty. Yeah. Because of course. And then I was like, okay. And then he's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, he seems a bit young to be Scotty. And then he started talking and I'm like, oh yeah, Montgomery Scott, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh yeah, Lieutenant. I was like, And he goes, Lieutenant Junior grade. And I'm like, oh, fuck, you got a long way to go. You got to go up 2 ranks almost, right, to get, you know. I was just like, okay. That was my only thing was he's too young. But I think that's because the Peg, he's older than Chris Pine. But Peg acts like a younger sort of, he looks up to Kirk and, oh, yeah, one day I'll be cool like you, Captain, and that kind of thing, you know. Whereas, like Scotty's the same age as Bones. So if Kirk in this is meant to be 25, Scotty's meant to be about 35, 36.
Correct, yeah.
Because he's sort of mid to late 40s in TOS. So, and I looked it up. Like I said, the guy that's playing Kirk, who's meant to be 25, is like 40 or 41. And this guy that's playing Scotty is 29. Oh,
jeez.
So I'm like, he's going to have some, maybe he gets major trauma from the Gorn thing and just like hits the bottle real bad.
Real hard.
And like, yeah, Scotty's younger than me. Oh my God. Like, you know, like he's
like what happened to this guy?
He's about to age horribly in the next 10 years, you know, like, or however long he's supposed to be. That was my only thing with it. And that's where I was starting to think like, oh yeah, we need Scotty to be like this young guy. It's like, yeah, but young compared to what or to who? Because if you're bringing in Kirk, you got to build everything around it, and that's sort of where it annoys me a little bit. Where they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do this thing." It's like, Now, if this was meant to be a reboot on like we're doing Star Trek again, and then this is like we're doing our own thing. You do what you like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. Like, it's not even the case of like the Abrams one where they could do what they wanted, but they still had to play around a little bit because it was all their timeline was reset, but only from a certain point in time. And it was after all the characters were born, basically. Well, most of them.
Right.
Because, so you still have to, like Bones, Bones and Scotty are still older than Kirk.
Right.
No matter what you do in that thing, because the first scene is Kirk being born. So the timeline hasn't changed up until that point, which means Kirk, Spock and Scotty and Bones and all that, they've already been born. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So if you'd gone back further and reset it from there, then you could anything goes.
Yeah, then you can kind of mess around with that. But as it is, it's like there's certain things that and it's interesting because like I don't know what the trajectory of this is going to be. Is it going to be Star Trek again? Possibly. Because here's a thing that you can do. Maybe you redo a couple episodes, but then do like different episodes, do new stories that could take
1A.
place. Yeah, exactly. Do ones that could have taken place in between. And then for fans, maybe throw in like one or two remakes just to say that you did, because like, I think if you just go back and just redo it whole cloth, it's like, what the hell is Spock's brain going to look like? It's like,
I wouldn't do it.
Nobody wants that.
When I say like, if they're gonna, if they were saying like we're gonna basically reboot Star Trek, and so Strange New Worlds is then going to lead into a TOS, like a TOS show, but it's a new, it's a new continuity and all this. So it doesn't matter that Kirk's 40. And
I see what
because this is a whole new reboot, you know what I mean? So then you could have Pike like, he avoids the chair, and then if that's what they were doing, you do whatever you like.
Yeah.
But if they're saying that no, this is a prequel to TOS, then you gotta, like we said, certain things are gonna happen.
Certain things have to happen.
Yeah. It's like, well, you can't just avoid it unless there's some sort of timeline split or something, and but it's very convoluted. But yeah, I mean, I liked Scotty, but the new Scotty, I thought, that's cool, but that was the only thing. I was just like, he's a bit young.
Yeah.
Well, there's someone writing this episode or someone in charge of it either thinks Scotty is younger than Kirk or didn't realize that he isn't.
Right.
Like, the young junior grade, lieutenant junior grade.
Yeah, well, and it may have been one of those things where it just kind of came down to the casting too, and it's like they didn't quite know exactly what to do because it is the right guy. I mean,
nothing against that guy. It was like, great.
Yeah. So yeah, it's tougher to parse out. Let me ask you this about kind of regarding we talked earlier in the episode about the amounts of plot armor that certain characters have. Certain characters are protected, some are not. I don't understand what we're trying to do in terms of like stakes and tension with this whole did Chapel get blowed up on the other ship? I mean, it's
it's like we know she's all right.
Yeah, you send the one character that we know is not in any danger. Now, if you want to do something like we were just discussing, where it's like something where Pike doesn't end up in the chair or some other drastic changes, you cross that chick off here. And it's just it's like, wait, what? And and with that unresolved tension between her and Spock, and now he just has to live with that. That would be some really cool character stuff, but like you can't.
You could have even done something where she was like horribly injured or something, and she forgets a lot of everything.
Oh, and then she just ends up being like real meek and demure and stuff.
Well, like she just doesn't remember anything with Spock, you know what I mean? So she kind of still has like, she pines for him a little bit and a little bit of, flirting and stuff, but she doesn't remember the whole thing. And then Spock's just like, no, like no good can come of this kind of thing, like, because you nearly died and I'm, and then that's why he's so withdrawn in the original series as well, because he's just like, oh,
yeah,
I tried the emotion things, didn't work.
Didn't work. That purple haired kid from the future told me it was weird.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so they could have done something like that, but then they did. Yeah, but not to say they won't, but
sure. I mean, yeah,
the only thing
like
I thought was interesting, like with plot armor, was the away team that gets beamed up by the Gorn at the end. Mbenga was on it. He was there.
Yep.
He'll be all right. Yep. But Lan and Ortegas were in that group as well.
Oh, man.
That could be like season 3, episode 1. It's, whatever it is, that could be like Lan sacrificing herself to save everybody else.
Sure.
And takes out the Gorn and does the Randy Quaid,
Yeah.
Gets over, does the whole thing to save Pike and Kirk and everybody, which would be a shame because there's more to do with that character, I think, but it could happen. Or she's going to do that and Ortegas does the Spock thing on Bones and,
oh, sure.
Oh, right, there's just one more thing. Knock you out and I'll do it.
Chop to the neck.
And that's where Spock got the idea from.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's where that's where Spock, I remember that from.
It's like, say, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Mbenga just happened to have like a vial of venom in his pocket, and then he just proceeds to serially murder all the remaining Gorn or whatever.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we can beam out. He's like, oh, no murder? Oh.
And he's just sitting there, got like the roid rage. He's just sitting there seething, like knives in hand. It's like, stab. I want to be stabbed. No, we won't be stabbing anybody today. We're leaving. We're going to. It's like, but no, but stabbing though.
Chapel treats his back knee.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, but my blades are thirsty. That kind of thing. Oh my gosh. So the biggest elephant in the room here though is that it ends on this massive cliffhanger. So, Enterprise is discovered and are shown to be under attack. So regardless of, they're not in a great situation. They've discovered that their friends, they didn't beam up their friends. The Gorn beamed up their friends. They are under attack and they now have orders from Starfleet to turn and run. And the, it's kind of interesting being an aggressively indecisive person myself. You could see the turmoil on Pike's face where he's like, oh shit, I actually have to make a decision that will affect a great many things. And it's a nice bit of acting from Anson Mount, but I just I am frustrated that it ends like that. Not from like it's, I don't know. Let me see if I could parse this out. So
not just your normal cliffhanger ending of like, oh no, I want to see what happens. Like not, because that's what you want. That's what normal response of like, oh no, like find out, it's like how they, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? It's like, well,
oh sure. After the commercial break.
B, and then we'll find out after the break, like that. you want that response of like, to be continued. Oh, motherfuckers,
Yeah, and
shit.
I could
in a good way.
Right. And I'm okay with cliffhangers. Like TNG had some terrific cliffhangers.
Yeah.
But
the best of both worlds is very similar to that. Like, oh shit, what do we do? Fucking Picard's Locutus and Riker's just like fire. And credits. Holy shit. Did he just kill Picard? Like, what the fuck? Like, maybe.
exactly.
And it's the end of the season. We might have season 4 and Riker's your captain from now on.
Yeah. Now, keeping in mind that was in May of that year. I don't remember what year it was, but that was in May. The new season started in September. So that's May, June, July, August, September. That's 4 months.
Yeah.
That's not very long comparatively. It probably felt like it over the summer, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh my God, what's going to happen? But the distance between seasons 2 and 3 of Strange New Worlds is going to be measured in years.
Yeah.
I mean, because look at the distance between season 1 and season 2. So that was a year. So at the very least, it's going to be a year. But with like the delays due to the strikes, I think it's going to be 2. I don't know. Yeah. What do you think?
Probably. I could see it being at the earliest, like mid 2025.
Right.
I think, because like you said, even if they started work on it tomorrow and you gave them a year, that's August 2024. Right. So add another 6 to 8 months on that.
Yep.
Yeah, I would think the only thing I could see where they might push it a little bit more is once Discovery ends.
Oh, sure,
year,
yeah.
They won't have anything else, so they'll want to keep it going.
Yeah.
So I could see them, ripping in. And I mean, it's not the sort of show that dumps all at once either. So maybe season 3A, season 3B or something. So like April, May 2025, 5 episodes, and then December, January, or something like that, the other 5 or something.
That I can live with. That
like a Stranger Things, how they did that in the last. It was like, I think, how many episodes was that? Like 8. So it was like, I think they did 5 or 6 episodes, and then it was like 2 months later or something, and they dropped the last 2, but the last 2 were like 2 hours episodes.
Right.
So maybe something like that.
That I can live with.
Or like Kevin Smith's He-Man thing. That was like 5 episodes and then 5 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you think you only got to film 5 and you get them out, and then you can film the rest.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm glad you're the writer in this situation, because like you set me straight, because that
what would you think that Pike does?
Oh my gosh. Well, that's a hard one, because like I think he runs. I think you got to run, because regardless, they are under attack and nobody is coming to save them. So, I mean, yeah, it sucks that your friends are stuck, and the best that you can hope for is that they can hold off until like you can regroup somehow. But I think, I mean, it's shown that the Enterprise is seriously outmatched.
Yeah.
I mean that Gorn warship is huge. And then like, what was it, like 3 or 4 more cruisers came or something like that?
Yeah. It was like half a fleet or a whole little armada or squadron or whatever. Yeah.
So you can't stand it.
And we saw what that one ship did to the USS other ship.
Yeah.
lady captain's ship.
Right.
Like, it was fucked. There was nothing. That was the one thing I thought too. It was like, okay, so I like that Spock Spock thought he was being clever and saying like, well, logically, I'm the only one who could go over and to the saucer section and do this.
Yeah.
Because I'm Vulcan and blah, 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 blah. And they all went, yeah, you're right, Spock. You're right. Off you go. And then as soon as he left, they were just like, basically like, yeah, we totally let him believe that he's the only one who could, like, we all went along with it. Like, yeah, okay, Spock, you're going because you're the only one who could do it because you're more than human. We totally know you're going to save, Chapel.
Yeah.
But we want you to go save Chapel. So, like, okay, Spock, go do it. So that was a good, I thought, I haven't really seen that before where people are like, we know what you're doing, Spock, but we're good with it. Like, we're fooling you as much as you're fooling us. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
yeah, it's like, we're all kind of like on the same page there.
So that was cool.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think I'm just thinking, like, it was me, I'd have it, it's one of two ways. You either open up and Pike is like, no, go fuck yourself. And it's space battle, space battle, space battle. And somehow they get out of it. And by the end of episode 1, whew, that was lucky. Like,
Ooh, we really got out of that one.
Thanks. Because you got to think you got Scotty on board now too.
Oh, sure.
So we need a miracle. Oh, I'm giving her all she's got, Captain.
Yeah.
So and it's Star Trek. You can techno-babble your way out of a lot of things,
True.
They still got Spock. They've still got, Pelia. They've got Chapel, obviously, and now they got Scotty as well. I think it's either that or it's, Captain, what do we do? Stand down, heading XYZ, warp 3, gone.
Yeah.
And then you get your 6 months later, like, thing,
Yeah.
So now the rest of them, it's like no one knows what happened to them. And they all went their separate ways kind of thing. So now you got to get the band back together.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Pike's shaved his head. He's fucking bumming around.
Yep.
Just cooking for homeless people or something, in the
sure, yeah,
somewhere. Spock's back on Vulcan with the Vulcan fiance. Chapel's maybe she's gone off to the Fellowship.
Right. That could be cool.
Scotty's runner. Scotty's been promoted quickly because we need officers. Right?
Yeah.
The Farragut thing has happened, maybe. Like,
oh, sure.
Kirk. Do we have temporary Captain Kirk on the Enterprise?
Maybe.
Well, there's only one man who can do this. We need to get Pike back,
Yeah.
And then you do that, get the band back together thing, and you pull Pike from here, like the Blues Brothers. You go, where's Pike? He's here, and that gives you. Then you have a full season of, we got to find Chapel. That's an episode. We got to get Spock. That's an episode. We got to get Pike. That's an episode. Or you even have April coming to Pike and being like, look, I was wrong. Like, you got to go. We got to get out. We had to bail, but we got to get our people back. Find out where they are and whatever. And then of course you intercut all that with, well, what are like Lan and Ortega and Mabenga? Where are they? Well, they're probably in some bloody, like salt mine, sweatshop, slave labor thing or something. Working for the Gorn or whatever, and so you sort of, crisscross it like that. So I can see it being either one or the other. Either it's a real quick, it's a wrap up there and then, and big space bat, and then they can do their episodic thing for the season, or you stretch it out,
I
and
like
make
that.
sure, and then then maybe one or two of them don't. I think it would be. I think it would be dumb to have. I think it would be silly to have Lan and Ortegas both be killed.
Right.
From this incident, like one or the other or none. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, but yeah, because the others are fine. Like Sam's all right. He's going to be all right. Mabanga's all right.
Well, I mean, Sam will be all right for a while.
He dies later. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, in this context, yes, he'll be okay.
Or is number one in charge of the? Is that why she's not part of the thing? Because Pike went, fuck it, I'm out. And they all went their separate ways, and number one became captain of the Enterprise for a little bit.
Ooh.
And then eventually when Pike comes back to the ship, well, she's like, well, I'm captain now. So she has to be given her own ship. Off she goes.
Yeah, there you go. Captain number one. I'm cool with that.
NCC 1111.
Yes.
Or NCC 0001.
There you go. Oh, that would be pretty cool. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, a good season overall. I think it's, for me at least, I don't know if it's better than the first season, but I think maybe it was just because of the novelty of what. Yeah.
But it might just be maybe I got a bit more used to some of the characters and got over a couple of things where I was just like, I don't really like Ortega's that much. Whereas now, like when she was like, I fly the ship, I was like, yeah, that's cool. I like that. Like, yeah, that was a cool thing, and I think too, we're talking about like you show characters doing things, not just tell us. Like, don't just tell me they're great. Show me.
Yeah.
And this season, I could be wrong. There might be instances of it in the first season and I've just forgotten it. But this season, it did seem to just be like, okay, well, the only way we're going to get out of this is if we do this with the ship. And Pike's like, Ortega's? She's like, yeah, no worries. And she corkscrew the ship and they fly through the asteroid, and we've seen her be like this awesome pilot.
Correct.
So it's like, cool. So when she's like, I fly the ship, and like, I'm the best pilot. Yes, you are. I've seen it. I believe you. Now it's not just girl power talk,
right?
And like that's the same with the male characters as well. Like if it was just like, Mbenga's this fucking ex-soldier. He's a fucking, he's a machine. He's, this and that. Right. Well, we've seen it. So now the next time someone gets in an argument with him, you're like, whoa, watch out. Or if he gets into a fight scene, he's not the timid doctor that's, fuck.
Yeah.
So
it's like, where'd you get those knives?
Yeah, that's right.
Why do you have knives?
Yeah.
he just carries them around just in case he's like snick.
Yeah. That'd be great.
just ready to murder at any given time.
Yep. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Well,
so I just felt that like, I liked the mixing of the tones. Like, we had the courtroom episode, then we had like a cool sort of time travel, like angsty, sort of bittersweet, sad, romantic ending kind of thing.
Yep.
Then we had a weird comedy thing with the cartoon, and then the musical was fine, but the musical is in between the murder episode and the Gorn episode.
Yes.
It's like,
that's where it gets really zany for me, tone wise, to where it's like, because even going from like the zany, so you got like the Rigel 7 episode, then you got the zany Spock episode, then you've got the Lost in Translation episode. That's fine, but just the hard swing to the Lower Decks crossover, to the murder episode, to the musical episode, to the Gorn horror episode is just like, that's some violent swings. It's just like, whoa. But
I mean,
but it's all
I didn't mind it myself, because the show didn't become any one thing. Like, okay, it's a funny Star Trek show. I'll watch it next week. And I was like, and also then people aren't getting bogged down with all the heaviness either. Like, oh fuck, so much murder. I was like, we're singing this week. Cartoons, yay. So,
well, and it's even and we had talked about kind of like the dichotomy between the episodes being both episodic, but then also carrying along storylines like that. You know, the Gorn episode starts, you know, with the two captains, and it's like, well, how are you doing? Well, I'm not breaking into song every 10 minutes, so I'm doing okay. So I just like that little stuff like that carries on. I mean, there's certainly an order to watch the episodes, but I think also kind of on their own, they're not exactly self-contained, but certainly episodic in tone, which I appreciate.
You could get, as long as you watch them in order, you could get by on the recap.
Oh yeah.
You know, previously on Strange New World, like you could get by on that.
Yeah,
but you couldn't watch them in, you know, episode 6, episode 2, episode 10, you know, like, whereas Next Gen mostly and TOS and that, you can just watch them whenever. Right. You know, TOS especially, it doesn't matter. You know?
Yeah. And in fact, that's how a lot of us saw them. I mean, I saw it on TV and I'm just like, I'm like, why are the credits blue in this one? You know, that kind of thing. Just like weird little incongruities or like,
McCoy's in the credits at the start. It's a new one.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
A new one.
Yeah. Kind of like watching the 1966 Batman where like the Batgirl motorcycle goes by. It's like, no. I'm like, oh, hey, I will be very interested in this episode. Oh my gosh. All right. So that's Star Trek. I know it was a slog and you got the man cold going on. What do you want to plug before I let you go? You got Reanimated, you got everything else.
Yeah, Reanimated when we drop our next issue, which should be, what's today?
It's the 20th for me, so I think it's what, the 21st for you?
So in a couple of weeks, in the start of September, I'd say probably the 6th, but yeah, anyway, September's issue for Reanimated will be issue 50.
Oh, wow.
So not only does it, do we hit 50 issues, but it coincides with the end of our 4-part G.I. Joe crossover.
Yeah.
So part 4 in a 4-part limited series.
Yeah. Which has been absolutely delightful. We've
had all kinds of references and deep pulls. We got G2, we got Death Cobra from Japan. All kinds of things. Well, it had to be. What they make if Cobra makes a Transformer, what are they going to call it? Well, it has to be Death Cobra.
Right. What else could it be?
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. You got any podcasts coming up?
Unfunny No Tangent. We'll be doing something at some point. I don't know what or when, but we're going to do something. Seems like you guys are pretty taking an interest in the upcoming Ahsoka. Yeah, that'll definitely happen. Rock is like a mad Ahsoka fan. She is his favorite Star Wars character of all time. So
wow,
he'd be very upset if we don't cover that.
Sure.
But yeah, we're still probably going to try and catch up on some we've missed in the last month or so, like Spider-Verse and maybe Indiana Jones. We'll see. We're waiting for the new Ninja Turtles movie to come out down here, which it's coming out at, I think it's the 7th or 8th of September. So once that's out in Australia, I will go see it and we will do a Unfunny No Tangent about it. So
absolutely.
A few little potential things happening there. But yeah, we'll definitely get to Ahsoka once that show's wrapped up.
Gotcha. Very cool. And that will wrap it up for this episode and our Star Trek discussion for now. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you want to check out Greig's other projects, go to transformersreanimated.com and unfunnynerdtangent.com. Follow Greig on Twitter at GreigT13. I am at Mike Seibert Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For my guest, the one and only Captain Boomerang, Greig Tansley, my name is Mike. This has been Mike Seibert Radio. And until next time, ad astra, per aspera, and make good choices. Anything else while we got you?
No, I'd see if anyone's listening to us, if they're not listening to Autopod Decepticast, we'll give those guys a shout out.
Oh, sure.
Big supporters of, especially myself. I know they've been very big supporters of like my little mini projects, not just Reanimated and Unfunny Nerd Tangent, but also like Caleb and I talked quite a lot about my band and stuff like that, and Aaron did the logo for us and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, they're good guys.
Yeah, it's a cool little family that kind of unites us all together. Because I mean, really, without those guys, you know, you and I don't know each other. You know, that kind of thing.
No, I don't think so. No.
I don't think so. Is that true?
I don't know. I can't remember. I think
I don't remember.
We contacted you about Reanimated, I think, but I can't remember if we had either or had done APDC.
Oh yeah, it could, because it was all about that kind of right around that time. Like I was already hanging tough with those dudes. So
you might have already known them, and then yeah.
Well, and I knew Yoshi from Transmissions, so maybe that's what that was. But yeah, so it's like, yeah, and I got to go back and do some research, because really, Greig, I don't remember what Ground Zero is for us.
No, I have a tendency of just messaging podcasters as well.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, you do a podcast. Do you want to be on my podcast? And they'll go, yeah. Oh, I'll never hear anything from them.
It could have been.
That's how I got into Yoshi. We were doing a Transformers Unfunny Nerd Tangent. And I was listening to Transmissions. And I was just like, I'll just reach out to him. So I did, and Yoshi was the one that responded, and yeah, here we are.
Yeah. Do you remember the first episode of Unfunny Nerd Tangent I was on? Because I think I do.
I know you were on the Batman, but that wasn't your first.
No,
you're on Big Trouble in Little China,
right? Further back, and then then we did. There was a Snyder Cut.
Yep.
And yeah, further back.
Gremlins.
That was Aaron and Ryan.
Metallica.
And before that, going even further
Metallica.
back. Yeah, it was the Who Framed Roger Rabbit episode.
Oh, okay.
I think that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think so. Don't make me bring it up, but I think so, because I remember that Tim and Jared didn't know me, and I didn't know them, but I knew you. So like it was kind of like a lot of the like testing the waters out type of thing.
I think Yoshi and I had done your show. We'd come on your show.
Wow. Okay.
I think we'd done your show for like a Reanimated, like, what's this? You know? Yeah. And then I was like, you want to come on Funny Nerd Tangent? Let me have I do have a file that has all the Unfunny Nerd Tangents in order and who was on them. I'm not organized.
I understand.
Control F. Seibert.
I mean, that's probably how you gonna find it more quickly than I'd be able to.
Oh, it's not even in here. It says have Mike S.
Oh, it's that far back.
Mike S doesn't even come up either. Mike.
Oh, geez.
Because there's Mike DePasquale as well, our Canadian friend. Mike D. No, Metallica.
Oh, it was Metallica then.
Yeah.
I'll be goddamn.
Episode 84 with Brian and Caleb. Pipe Bomb, Brian Gregston.
Yeah, buddy.
And Caleb, because that was the first time I'd spoken to Caleb. Like on the interwebs.
Gotcha.
And then Who Framed Roger Rabbit's 97.
I'll be damned. I swore that was before then. Oh, but that still checks out with the original thing I said, because that was the first time I did a show with Tim and Jared.
Yeah, because they weren't on the Metallica one.
Correct.
Yeah. It was me, Jared, Tim, and you Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Got it. That was a fun episode.
You're on the fandom reactions, the one we did, because we talked about the credits for, the trailer for the Batman. Oh, New Mutants with Tim. That was fun.
That was a really fun episode, actually.
That's when my house was blowing down. Remember, the bloody wind was going berserk outside.
Yes. Yeah, no, I do remember that.
Snyder Cut, Big Trouble in Little China, Masters of the Universe, Revelation.
Damn.
Eternals.
Oh, God.
Eternals, the Batman, and the Flash.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how, and we talked about this at the time, it'll be interesting to see how history will remember that Eternals movie. Because that was, I think that was one of the first times that me and Jared really parted ways, because it's just like, he's like, you just didn't like that movie because you saw it after work and you were tired and grumpy. I'm like, all of those things are true, but also the movie. Yeah.
I remember he got upset because I was like, why is she deaf? It doesn't make sense. I don't have a problem with the actor. That's fine. But just give me something. If you're telling me that these are the perfect human specimens that we have created, then why does one of them have a disability?
Yeah, why would you manufacture
wrong with deaf people? Nothing wrong with being deaf. It's not like they can help it. But if you created the perfect person, right? Forget about black, white, Asian, gay, any of that. That nothing to do with that. But physically, you would make them perfect. You wouldn't have them. They wouldn't be deaf,
right?
But she ran really fast. She was like their version of the Flash. So you would just say she runs so fast. If she wasn't deaf, it would destroy her brain.
Oh, there you go.
Like, something like that. Like it's a vertigo thing.
Yeah, like a defense mechanism type of thing or something like that. Yeah. I would also say that I've only seen the movie once, but as I remember, the super speed was actually pretty cool. Like it looked okay. Good. Yeah, and I think that her super speed is way cooler than whatever we saw in the movie about the guy that is supposed to be the fastest man alive. Yeah, real stupid.
So tell him you run with your legs. He runs with his arms.
The only time that pays off is after he's lost his powers and he's doing the stupid run, and that gave me an unironic, legitimate laugh.
That was funny, at least. Yeah.
I genuinely laughed at that. That was that was a good joke in an otherwise abysmal movie. But
I've only seen it the one time. I didn't watch it again.
Yeah. No way.
It's definitely at the bottom of the Marvel movies for me.
Oh, sure.
Like if I do a list up, I don't know where anything would be, but I'd just be like Eternals, bottom. And then build from there.
Exactly. Oh, I haven't stopped the recording yet. Let me hit end recording.
Hi, Jared.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, it's just running.